it on up there? Okay. Bring my sheet over here. Okay. I'd like to call the general budget workshop to order. Oh, please rise and we'll pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, this is on the general budget items for the 2019 year. We did the highway portion last Thursday. Next Thursday, we will have the preliminary, and it'll be on the web page in advance to approve it by the board, and then a public hearing will follow that in about 2 weeks. Final adoption will probably be at the town board meeting in November. I read this statement before, but I just want to reiterate it in case there's some new people listening. The 2019 tentative budget dated 9/27/18 as presented shows no increase in the tax rate of $2.13 per thousand of assessment, and we are under the New York State tax cap. The tax cap was raised from 1.84% in 2018 to 2% in 2019, and we were able to also include the unused tax cap savings from 2018. If you don't remember, we were under the cap at that time. Today, we are 30,490 under the tax cap. If we increase the budget during this workshop and the tax cap savings are spent, the tax rate goes up to $2.17 per thousand, which increases the tax rate by 2%. There are many other high-cost projects which are being proposed by town board members and others, which, if approved, could increase the tax rate. As a point of information, the increase in the tax cap for this year due to the change in the percentage and the leftovers from last year resulted in a $55,802 tax cap increase. So that's just background information. It's all buried in the particular document here. Now, the process we're going to have is, oops, here it is. We're going to have do a quick analysis, not analysis, but discussion on the MVP health plan that we talked about. I gave everybody some information to see how we want to proceed, because if we're going to make any changes, they got to be approved by the union, they got to be approved by the board, and it's got to be done before the end of this year. Otherwise, it won't be incorporated in next year's schedule. So until any further action occurs, we're not changing that. And then I'll go through the general fund budget like I did before, line by line. Then we'll do all the salaries, and then we'll do the new project wish list. And hopefully we'll be done in a half hour. Well, that doesn't quite work that way.
Starting now.
Starting now, yeah. So let's do the first one here, which should be pretty simple. I gave you all the analysis. I gave you the costs for both things. If we go to the suggested silver plan, and some of the HRA goes up and some of the premiums go down, so it's not a simple analysis just looking at the numbers in and of themselves. But applying the same methodology for the gold and the silver plan, if we take the silver plan, it nets the town $13,880 in savings. Now, that's not being booked yet because nobody's agreed to it, but that's what it potentially could be. Does anybody have any idea? Should we try for it or not?
Well, I see that you upped the contributions that the town is putting into the HRA, right?
Well, yeah, that's the new numbers.
Right. So my only thought as part of the negotiation is that as long as they stay in the silver, we would stay at that higher contribution, but if they wanted to go back at any other time, we're gonna revert back to the agreed upon, contribution.
Well,
So I'm saying this year they're gonna go to silver, but next year to say, no, we didn't like the silver, we wanna go back to the
Gold.
gold, then we have to
And we'll change the
stipulate,
numbers
then
there.
we're gonna go back to the original contribution.
Yeah. And there'll be different numbers next year. I mean, the numbers went up
I know, the
on
health plans
MVP
are
went up
changing every year.
10% this year. I mean, that was a big hit. This is not a low-cost item in our budget.
No, it's very,
So do you think we should pursue it if we get it through or some
that's the
discussion?
savings, I mean, absolutely.
We can try it, okay. So Dean, then, could you negotiate with him? Since you've been the contract man with the union people.
Okay,
And here's,
do they know even about it?
no. Well, if nothing's gonna happen, why get them all excited on something if
Okay,
nothing's gonna happen?
okay.
Now, here's the broker's business
Yeah, I-
thing,
No,
and here's his name, Luke, and here's his phone number.
oh, it's
And-
Luke, it's
Yeah.
not, what's her face, Rose?
Rose, no, she left about a year ago.
Oh, okay,
Her husband got a new job, and she had to move. So, I mentioned to him, and he's willing to come down
Yep.
and talk to the troops over there at a mutually agreeable time, and
okay.
we'll see where we go. And, if we can get this incorporated by the town board meeting for adoption, we can include it at that time. If not, we'll just leave it as it is, and it'll be a savings as we go through the year then.
Okay.
Okay, so that's quickly done. Okay, next thing is then the budget. In the budget, we're starting off, let's see, I gotta keep track of which one's which here, because they both look alike. And we're not doing wages in this discussion part right now. So what we have here is the town board, under travel, last year was $100, this year it's $200. That's increased because we've had more participation in going to other activities that they charge for. Conventions and training went down from 2,000 to 500 because we had to train 3 people up in Albany. They've all been elected, all been trained, so we won't see that expense again until 2020. We're gonna have to go up after the 2019 election. So that went down. And so that was all of that. In the justices, I got a late input. In fact, it was the day after we printed this tentative budget. And I did a comparison between them. And my total comes out essentially roughly the same. I may be off $50 here and $50 there. The total difference, just as a point of information, is about $200 less in my calculation versus what they had. So I just left it all the same.
I don't recall seeing these requests from the justice.
Well, it was an email. I get all the different things. I don't send out all of them. I got them all, if you want them
Oh,
all.
well, I don't know. I mean, is there anything
No,
we
what
need to
he's
know?
saying is, we don't know what you're talking about.
We don't know what
because
you're
we didn't see
talking
an
about.
email.
No,
'Cause
yeah, well-
exactly. Thank you, Dean.
I could copy all of these. These are all the
Right,
inputs
but
that I
what
Just
was the
tell us
change?
what you're
That's the
talking
question.
about.
I'll tell you what the change is.
Thank you.
Well, no, wait, I gotta get those out.
That's all I wanted to know.
I got three of them to go across now. Travel, last year was 1,000. Travel, oops, gotta find it here. I put it at 1,700, and they requested 2,100. And I'm just going on what records were available to us.
Now, what's the difference between travel and convention and training?
Well, convention and training, this is travel going to the post office, to the bank,
Oh, okay.
whatever. Or, if they're going to local training, something like that.
So travel is 21.
Well, they asked for
They asked for-
21.
They asked for
but-
21,
But I
okay.
put 17, because that seems to be what they were doing.
Oh, I see, okay.
Because I
All
look
right.
back 3 years and then look at what's going on this year and
Okay.
sort of eyeball figuring out which way it's trending. They put convention and training at, well, last year, convention and training
4,000.
was, I gotta find where I am here, I got too many of them, 4,000. I left it at 4,000, they asked for 4,200. I just left it the same. It seemed to be the right kind of number.
Things tend to go up, I would, if it
Yeah,
was
I
4,000
know,
last
but we
year.
we were under the previous 2 years.
Yeah,
So I figured there's enough in there that I think we can be covered in. Postage was, keep looking wrong line, 2,000. I increased it to 2,300. They asked for 2,100. Postage has been going up. We do a lot of mailings.
yeah, they're asking for a 5-cent increase.
As of
So-
today, yeah.
But I hadn't heard that. This was, made 3 weeks ago, so. So I increased it to 2,300 from previously 2,000, so I added another $300. Contracts and services, they asked for, 700, it was 700, they asked for 714, and I left it at 700, because that's what it seems to really be. It wasn't a percent increase, that's what it was. It has been for a while. The next one is software maintenance, SEI. We had 1,150 before, they wanted 1,122, I left it at 1,150. It should cover it. Supplies, which includes judges, receipt books and stuff, they asked for 914. It was, gotta find it here, 300. I left it at 300. Now, that was new news. We could add the 600 if,
Yep,
There's
I mean, they're
general-
currently $480 over budget on that
Yeah.
300 that we budgeted last year.
You need to
Yeah.
increase it.
well, yeah, but the checkbook thing is the big hit. Okay, so we'll add up 600 here. I've gotta find where I am on this thing here.
You're adding 600, or you're adding up to 600?
No,
Adding
Make it to
600, we should be 9 then, right?
that'll make it 9. And then office supplies was 800. I left it at 800, they asked for 840. Books and updates, they asked for, books and updates was 2,500, they asked for 2,627, I had 2,700 I put in there. And then other court stuff, they asked for 1,050. I had, this is other, it was 1,000 last year, and other, I left it at 600,
Why?
because that's what they seem to have been spending.
They only spent $13.50 in that category so far this year, $13.
And I go back 3 years and use that as my reference. So some stuff is up from what they wanted, some stuff is down, so as I said, the difference is only like $200 between the two totals. Dues was 300 I had last year, they wanted 315, I left it at 300. Constable yearly training, 600 last year, 600 this year, I put in, they asked for 630. So we're off little bits ups and downs.
So what's the bottom line?
Well, bottom line would be we add 600 to this number.
Add 600 to the
So
15.
1575, 750?
Yeah, yep, and that's 757, that's $400 more than last year. is another thing. So that's, do you have any comments? Did we do something wrong? You come up here on the phone,
Talk about that,
on the
600, yeah.
microphone if we made some
The other-
grievous error.
The receipts,
The books,
I get them about every 2 years
Yeah.
for Judge Tompkins. So that's a factual, that's how much it
I
cost.
just,
No, I'm
we
just-
just added 600.
Just letting you know, so
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
where that came from. And the other one, I think there's an other category in supplies.
Yeah,
And that was supposed to include the water, the internet, and something else. I don't even know what the internet goes for at this moment.
we don't pay anything different for you people. It's all in the town's bill for internet.
Oh, it was separated out at
No,
one
it's
point, so.
separated. They have their own internet account because
We
they
have
have to
our
have
own
their own
internet.
secure line.
Oh, okay.
So that's what that other category is. So that's,
Yeah, it's like
what
$80
we've
a
asked
month.
for is probably more factual to what's spent, but I don't know entirely.
Yeah,
That's,
because I haven't seen, when I look back 2 years, I don't see that kind of big number in there. That's what I'm saying.
but I mean, it's the internet monthly, it's the
Apparently,
water.
right now, the bill's not being paid to that category where it
Yeah,
would affect
Category,
that
yeah,
line.
it's paid
Right,
by the
so-
general town.
But just so you know, that
Yeah.
that's where that
So
comes
it's
from.
$80 a month, and this is not enough.
Well, apparently, he has it in with the town bill.
We charge it all to the town bill, even though it's their
Oh.
expense. We haven't gone that fine on detail.
All right.
Just like we don't charge the assessor for the internet or anything else. They don't charge me for the internet.
Well, they don't have a separate line. The
No,
court-
no.
The court does, so.
Well,
Well, the
Assessor does.
has a separate phone line.
right, yep.
Okay,
And we still charge that all to the town.
that should be enough then.
Yeah. So that's that one.
So it's 15,750, right?
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board. Barbara Seelbach, one of your town justices, have been for the past 13 years. I'm also a member of the Dutchess County Magistrates Association, and I just finished up my 3-year term with the New York State Magistrates Association. And throughout my 3-year tenure at the state level, one of the big issues that has been raised is the issues regarding the amount of work that has been added to our clerks' workload. So I took the liberty of speaking with the president of the Clerks Association, and she gave me this list, and this is simply a general list of duties of what court clerks do. And it's a 3-page list that I would like to distribute. So, in court, as in town government, we keep getting a lot of unfunded mandates coming down the pike. So I'm sure you're all familiar with how that works. Basically, it means you get more and more work and less assistance to do it. So that has definitely been prevalent, I would say, particularly over the past couple years. Because as we become more and more automated, it means that they have to do a lot more reporting to different agencies throughout the state. In addition, I think our workload has increased, and I think Judge Tompkins is going to address that shortly. So eventually, probably not obviously in this budget cycle, but we might want to keep in mind to think about increasing our court hours as our numbers continue to go up. Because we're pretty busy there, and honestly, I could use probably an extra night in court, especially on our traffic nights. Not that I really want to do that, but I think it might be a requirement, like maybe something to talk about during this next year, to see if we could increase the hours of court and the hours that the clerks work as well. But the major issue, I think, is really their salary level. With the increase in minimum wage, you can see obviously from the 3-page list that I distributed to you that the amount of work that they do is pretty extensive. We've even talked at the New York State level of maybe even changing the name of the position, because it's really, I think, when people think of the word clerk, they just think it's straight clerical. They're really administrative executives, really, because they pretty much do everything. I work full-time, so I'm not in court during the day, so the clerks basically run the court for us until we have our court sessions at night. And I know that there are courts throughout the state of New York who don't have clerks, and I'm really not sure how they operate. I think they're significantly smaller than us. We're not incredibly large, but we're not that small either. We're actually pretty busy, considering our population and our size. So I was just wanted to present that to you, throw that information out there to you all to take a look. And I think Judge Tompkins is going to make some additions to my statements. So thank you very much.
No, one of the comments I make on that is, currently they're at 22 hours a week.
Yeah.
If we get much more, it becomes a full-time position, even though the hours don't change.
What are you thinking of in terms of extra hours? That was my question, too.
I really don't know. I just know that it's getting harder and harder, and I feel like I'm slipping a little bit, because I like to, I like a nice, swift turnaround, and it seems like I'm not really falling behind, but at the same time, I feel like I'm just like reaching the edge. I don't know, like at what level do they become full-time? I don't really know the magic number.
30 at the maximum.
I would say if I could add an extra 5, I think that would make me very happy. Whether that would include me sitting.
These are per week, just so everybody knows what we're talking about. It's
Right.
per
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
So it'd be 27 hours,
So 27 hours
26,
instead of
27,
22.
something like that. All right.
Any bit would help at this point. I mean, I think we both of us actually keep a pretty good flow going.
How do the clerks feel about adding
Can you do
time?
27?
Well, we're not even going to discuss it like for the rest of this year, and probably not next year, but
Okay.
I'm just
I'll-
throwing it out there.
I'll
It's
have
something to keep in the
check
back
to
of your head.
see if there's any HR problem with 27 hours. Just to be sure, because
Well, that would be my
they keep
ideal.
changing the rules in there. and
Yeah, see,
I
it
go
gets
crazy
difficult
trying to
too,
keep up
because
with
the
them.
clerks, because first of all, of the wage that they make, and second of all, because it is part-time, they do actually have other jobs as well. So I don't know if it would be, of interest or of help to get a third, maybe like a part-time clerk that only works maybe the 5 hours a week. I don't know. I really haven't really thought it through yet, because I'm just going to continue to monitor. But that would be my goal.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Russ Tompkins, you all know me, some of you unfortunately, some of you beneficially. I've got some figures here from, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different localities in the county. And interestingly enough, Town of Clinton, I believe, pays the clerk $17 an hour.
That's right, currently.
I have here, the closest to that is an $18 an hour, but I'll tell you, in Milan, it's $20.17 an hour. Now, these are part-time positions. Red Hook Town, $22.31 an hour. Rhinebeck Town is at $22 an hour. Tivoli Village, $20 and I think 33 cents. Village of Wappingers has 2 full-time clerks. One gets $24.20, one $22.86. And they have a part-timer who gets $20.73. So you can see that we're at the bottom of the heap here. And according to the figures given to me by my clerk, in 2017, we averaged 155 traffic tickets a month. To date, for this year, we're averaging 175, which is a 13% increase. And we have a mixed blessing, which you people, I'm sure, are well aware of. The Parkway goes through this town. That accounts for the majority of the tickets, and that's why we have this number in the volume. You know, there's other places that have very small amount of tickets coming in. But anyway, I'm looking at these figures and I'm saying, we are, as I said, the bottom of the heap for pay scale. And I know we're not a super wealthy town, but the amount of tickets that come in from the Parkway are a contributing factor to this town. And I really think that the amount of work, as Judge Seelbeck has said, that they're required to do and to stay on top of warrants, I would say this year we should have an immediate jump to $20 an hour. You know, it's $3 an hour, but I mean, it's just, the courts can't function without the clerks. And if I've said before, if I didn't have my clerk, I quit the next day. It's that simple. I can't do all the work. These judges I've met at these conferences I've gone to that have no clerk, they might have 50 tickets in a year, you know. They're in East Podunk and, you know, there's no state roads going through it and there's no real police enforcement going on there. So they have very, very minor things. So they have the ability to do their own work, you know. So that's my play. I really think that $20 is a bare minimum. I mean, our court attendant gets over that, you know. Granted, he has a gun. He's an armed officer. It's necessary, but I think the clerks deserve $20 an hour.
Can I have your list, or is that
You can copy it.
available just
You can copy it
as a
and give it
backup
back to
here?
you. All right.
You can keep it, I get another copy.
on the computer someplace?
I also will attest to, because I do the audits, and there is a considerable increase in volume, which, and, you know, amazingly to me, it's interesting because we've automated, but somehow the automation is adding more work,
Oh, yeah.
where before it was more manual, and I thought it would be less. So I will absolutely reinforce what they're saying.
There's something took place a few years ago that I failed to mention, but the legislature, I believe, passed this. There was a problem. The state police, I think, was trying to cut their budget, and they thought that the police officers were spending too much time in court and getting paid
Right.
too much overtime. So they mandated this fact that you have to have a pretrial conference available to people. So that involves more work because the people plead not guilty. We got to send them a letter, set down a pretrial conference. Then if they don't respond, then we've got to send them another notice saying that they've got a trial. And obviously, you know that you have the added burden now of having the town attorney being paid to be the special prosecutor. So I think the state shot themselves in the foot. I heard later from people in the agencies that they lost millions of dollars. But be careful what you wish for sometimes. You get some other things on the side, you know. But that's an increase too, when we went to this thing where we had to have these pretrial conferences
I
offered
was
to
here when
everybody.
that happened. That was a mess.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I was here when that was a mess. Okay, we done with justice? So at this point, we've added the $600.
Talking salaries later?
Yep,
Okay.
salaries. Go through them all at one time because you're going to say, well, this one should have gotten $10 more, this one should have got $3 less. And if you try to do it this way, you can't keep track of all those little
let me
pieces.
just ask you folks a question. Do you try to act on the suggestions that we've given you
Oh, yeah.
tonight? Or,
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
just
know
did
the
it.
budget process, so I don't know how
I
you,
just put in the 600.
no, but I'm talking about the wages.
Well, when we get to that, we'll talk about it.
Okay, is that during this evening? Or-
Yeah, that'll be the end.
Okay.
That's a whole section, go through everybody's wages.
Well, I've never come to
It's
your.
kind of like a two-step process, because what we'll do is we'll tentatively say this is what we'll do, but then we'll wait until Ray plugs all those things in and see how the budget comes out. So, you know, if it pushes us over the tax cap, we may come back the next meeting and say, well, maybe not.
I heard you talking before, but I didn't quite comprehend it all.
What?
I know you approved that necessary, I'd call an insurance law that allows you to go over the cap. You
Oh,
moved
yeah,
in
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a
The local
necessary
law,
thing in
yeah.
case you need
We
it.
always do that.
Have you prepared what you have for figures now? Do you know what the increase would be? Is it under the 2% or?
Oh, we're under the 2% by 30,000. right
Okay, but I
now.
mean, what percentage did it come out, 1.8 or?
Oh, I don't know, I didn't figure that number out. Doesn't matter. It's,
All right.
we're under about 30,000, but, you know, we may go up 600, we may go down some other place, some other number, as we go through the rest of
don't
the
envy you
budget.
your
So I don't know.
job.
It's you know, pages of numbers that go up and go down, and it's hard to keep track of all the
Thank you.
little ones as they go. Plus, at the end, we got the big one, all the special projects that people want done. And those are in the tens of thousands. So, okay, so that was the justices one. The next one is supervisor. Okay. The travel went up from 1,000 for the supervisor to 1,200. That's what it looks to be. They're moving the meeting locations for the monthly meetings all over the place, mostly in the south of the county. Conventions and training. It's where I last year went to New York City for the Association of Towns training. That was $1,100,000 roughly. I made it $1,250. It was a little under. 1,000 was just a little under by $50 or something, but who knows what prices are going nowadays on the Metro North. Office supplies, I left at 100 for both years. Bookkeeper, I didn't change, it's still 12,900. And the bond, the annual finance filing is still 950. They didn't give us any new numbers.
So, is this accurate that so far this year we spent 14,000 on that, even though we budgeted 950?
Yeah, something's wrong there.
Okay,
Something's got miscoded.
okay,
Yeah. I know the vouchers are
yeah.
1,000 something each month. But, yeah, that's a mistake. And I caught it, but there was nothing I could do because this was all
Yeah.
prepared. And I'll find out. I think it's miscoding on that one. So that's all the supervisor. Tax collector, let's see. Tax collector. Okay, here we go. Tax collector, conventions and training. No, wait, I got my lines wrong. Travel, my mistake. Travel, 400 both years. That's where if she gets cash, she's got to go to the bank. If she doesn't get cash, she can do it with the check thing, which most of the stuff is, or she's got to go in and pick up the books. There's stuff to pick up here and there. Conventions and training, we had 400. Realistically, it looks like it should have been 700 when I look at the actual expenses incurred. Postage was $1,450 last year. I made it $1,600. Sort of looks like what it's going to be with all the changes that keep coming up.
Right. I
What?
just have a question about the conventions and training.
Yeah,
We just sent her to all the trainings. Is this an annual thing that?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Legal news and note stuff, 75 for both years. Okay, and then we get into the next page. The software programs, the BAS program went up $50 from 600 to 650. BAS Internet Tax Tier 2 went up from 300 to 360. And the data conversion went up from 490 to 530. That data conversion is to take into account the County of Dutchess has its own tax parcel numbering process. And this is to change those tax parcel numbers from the official state one to the county ones, because the county is what we use when you go on parcel access and all. And we got to pay to have that done. And we've been doing it for years because otherwise it doesn't allow us to use the BAS system. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. The office supplies, printer and stuff, we had 150, put it up to 300, looked like that was more of what was happening, and dues stayed at 30. So the net of the two, it went up around $800 for the tax collector. Let me scoop over to the next one. Assessor. Assessor, travel was 200. I put it to 300. Looks like she's traveling more, going out inspecting more properties. Conventions and training, 500. This year we paid 500 plus travel, so I added about $100 for travel, so that's why it went up to 600 this year. I mean, in 19. 18 was 500. Postage, no, wait, legal notices. Postage. I put 300 in for postage to cover her, because that's what she was paying. It wasn't shown last year in the budget. No, yeah, it was zero last year.
Yeah, it was zero
Legal
last year.
notices went from 200, I put 200, I kept that the same. We don't do many, but sometimes we got
Come the
tax.
postage you said wasn't in last year?
Yeah, somehow
Because it's zero, yeah.
it was zero, so
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'd have to go back. Dutchess County processing is $14.90, left it the same, didn't see any reason to change it. The software, the APAC sketching, she stopped using that program, so we don't have to pay for that anymore. Supplies is still zero. Office supplies, still 85. Books and updates, they're getting more paperwork from from the state. So we had 245 last year, and it went down to 165. Dues went from 100 to 125. That's for her and her clerk, going to various county meetings. Small claims court, we put in for one appraisal. They generally run around 400 to 450, so I put 450 in. You haven't
Depends
used
on the
it.
property.
I understand, but gotta put a placeholder in for something. Do you
Because
wanna,
most of the ones that we're gonna go to small claims on is probably gonna be 1,000.
do you wanna put 1,000 in? I mean, I don't care. I mean, this
We
is what
kind
I've
of got caught
been,
on this before.
And it seems like we're getting more and more of them, and
But we
got
haven't
pretty
done
close.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could have gone close to this other one.
yeah, I know 1,000 is a real number, but
And that would have definitely been 1,000.
we
for
can
the
add,
size of the
yeah,
parcel.
yeah. I mean, we could add 1,000, but so far we've been skirting the bullet on that one. I would leave it. If it's gonna come in a big number, we'll take it out of contingency. That's all we have contingency.
As long as we're not going to hear it's not in the budget.
Well, no, it's in the budget.
I meant the
the full
additional
amount.
expense.
Oh, yeah, well,
Okay. Can I just back up? Maybe I wasn't listening. When it comes to conventions and training and so on.
Yes.
Do we pay a portion
Yes.
of that?
yes,
Because
we
we
split
share
it, we split it with
And
Putnam County.
this is our portion?
This is our
Okay,
portion.
thank you.
Inventory mailing, I just left it the same. She mails out these things to update the files. So the increase was like $300 from last year to this year on that section. Board of Assessment. The only thing there is meals, and we left it the same, 150. This is for when the BAR members have to stay over to finish up their deliberations. Sometimes it's $50, sometimes it's $125. 150 always covers it. So it's the same. And we get into town clerk. We get travel. I kept it the same, 200 and 200. Legal notices, 500 each, leave them the same. because all the local laws and things of that nature have to be done as legal notices. The software maintenance system went up from 1,130 to 1,220, roughly a $100 increase that we get from the BAS company. Supplies stayed the same, 175. Books and updates, 150 stayed the same. Dues stayed the same at 250. And I left the same general code update for 8 local laws at $8,000 as we had this past year, because every time we do a local law, it's got to be put into the book, and it's roughly $1,000, like the one we just did for the override or whatever. They all add up now. I don't know what the cost for putting the zoning revision, assuming we're all done by the end of next year, but that'll probably not be a 2019 expense, it'll be a 2020 expense by the time we give them the document and they tell us how much it's gonna cost, because these things are typically small things, maybe 20 pages or something like that, not 300 pages. So the difference is it went up $90 for the town clerks from last year. Now, the town attorney, that's a hard one. Because I don't know.
You left it the same, right?
I left it the same, and the reason I left it the same was I expect that their attorney's gonna get heavily involved in looking at all the zoning revision stuff, and we're gonna be talking about it. And that's why I had it up at the high number, because I thought we were gonna be into the zoning approval.
What did we
revision.
spend this year so far?
I don't have it in front of me here.
30,000, 29,729.
Yeah.
Okay, because
I mean, we're
not only
we're like
that,
60, over 60,000 under budget on that right now.
okay,
Yeah.
not only the zoning revision, but we need to be able to prosecute some of these cases.
Well, yeah, and that'll come up
And
in there too.
this year, it's been a problem.
Well, as I say, the 50,000 should cover stuff that's coming up, but I don't know. On the zoning revision, I have no idea how much work it'll be. Attorney other, I left open. That's where we hire an attorney with a specialized skill, maybe for tax assurances or something like that. We've done it in the past. It's about 2 hours worth of service. No power line town, the way this governor keeps delaying it, it'll probably occur after election when he lets his PSC people make a decision. So, didn't know when it was gonna happen. So, we're not spending it, so it'll be left in the budget. The V&T, last year we had 44,000 allocated. Looking at the expenses year-to-date and stuff, looks like 35,000 should cover it, so we saved a little there. And the Van Sickle, which we didn't have last year, I put 3,000. We did one prosecution, and it was like 2,500. Don't know if we'll have another one or not. So, that's the mystery of some of this stuff.
Okay,
So, the number went up 6,000.
Went down 6,000.
No,
Or went
it
down 6,000, yeah.
Yeah, it went down 6,000.
And the engineer is the next one. I left it at 3,000. That's to cover not planning board, not highway, and not developer. Those, the highway has its own budget line, the developer, and the planning board people, they have their own cost reimbursement. So that's why it's not included here. So we leave it there. If we need a quick estimate on something or have him prepare a community development block grant
Right.
report or proposal or whatever, we have the funding to do it. So now we got a lot of zeros. And we get to buildings and grounds, 1620. Furniture equipment,
I have to ask a question on that one, too. That's Barbara,
yeah.
all right. whatever happened to, I believe it was $14,000 that we budgeted for 2019 or 18 for just some general repairs? I never did hear, I guess the guys that we were gonna hire,
It's split, it's
Didn't
split
pan
into
out.
two pieces. That was split into two pieces. One was labor and one was in materials. We didn't get to the materials line yet. That's
okay,
further
'cause
down.
it was my understanding
is
not a whole
equipment.
lot of work was done.
Yeah, this is equipment right now. Yeah,
Okay, because
we'll get to that in a
I'd like
moment.
not to let that money
No.
go by the boards. We've got plenty of things to do around here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
From what I
We're
remember,
the
it was
equipment
$10,000 for two people.
Was it 10?
That
It
was
was like a
later.
father and son
son, right.
Right,
that were supposed to be doing, you know, the handyman
The
stuff
big,
around
the big,
the,
but this was a bigger job than he anticipated it to be.
okay.
So
Do we still have that?
We bought all the materials, so we have all the materials, so now what we have to do is go out to bid for labor. And I haven't got a number on that one yet.
Would we have to go to bid?
Yep.
It would be certainly under 10,000.
It's prevailing wages.
Uh.
I mean, I know a lot of people I've talked to, they do not want to do prevailing wages. In government, you got to do prevailing wages. So what you would pay a contractor to do your house, put a door in or something at $25 an hour, you're talking $35 to $45 an hour with prevailing wages. It's the rules. And a lot of paperwork, and most of them say, I don't
Okay.
want the paperwork.
I just don't want to lose that.
No.
Okay,
Okay, so, this is equipment stuff that we're talking
Alright.
about, so. Furniture, equipment, this is in case somebody needs a chair or something like that, you know, that kind of thing. 300, it's the same as last year. We try to get as much as we can from Dutchess County surplus, and that's all free. And we've gotten a lot of chairs, like up in the Masonic Lodge, we've got
Yeah.
35 chairs up there, all brand new.
all right, nice.
So, you know. Then we have, okay. Oh, okay, I'm in the wrong place here. We had firewall maintenance, that's been taken out because we bought the box, and so we don't need that, so that number disappeared. Miscellaneous programs are left still at 700 occasionally. We need a new program that comes up that we don't know and didn't program for. We gotta buy it. And then we have G Suite. Yeah, this is sort of mixed up a little bit here between these things.
with the G Suite.
The G Suite actually came out down in the bottom here now. Well, no, yeah, it came out in the bottom here now, someplace.
But what is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh, that's Google Chrome.
And what is it doing?
No, wait, this is the software licenses for us to have Google Chrome. That's what that 660 is. But it's listed different up here. I'm just trying to figure out where it was. That was, G Suite subscription.
Yeah,
That's the same.
last year it was called as something different.
Yeah, and
Google Chrome
then they
software.
expanded the features on it, and the price went up. So that's what that one is. I'm losing track of which is which. There's, next one is network storage device for backup service. That's gonna be 900. We didn't buy it last year at 830.
Now, the server we replaced
Yeah,
2-3 years ago,
No, 5.
I remember it.
It's,
Like 2-3
we
years
didn't,
ago.
yeah, we didn't replace it this year. We
But
were planning,
Even back then, I was saying that we should be looking at going to a cloud where it's constantly updated, it's constantly got redundancy, backup, and everything else, where we're not, you know,
Well-
subject to something happening here and not having that
yeah,
server.
yeah, well, we haven't, we discussed it somewhat last year, but we didn't put it in the budget.
did we replace it last year? Because there's a
No.
$10,000.
No.
We never
This is-
did?
This is the cloud thing I'm talking about.
No, okay.
We never bought the server this year. It was planned to be bought next year. And what's happening is Microsoft is upgrading their software from operating system 7 to 10. 7 is not going to be available with any upgrades or anything else. Sometime the latter part of 19. We don't have an exact date. So we have the older machine, and we don't have the ability to upgrade it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, by going to a cloud storage, they're gonna update it automatically, part of the subscription.
Yeah.
And we'd be paying less than $9,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do that, but there's, the version we were looking at, and I don't have that number here, so I can't tell you exact number, is to have a cloud service and have the ability that has automatic restore provisions built into it. Not all cloud stuff has restore provisions built into it. So that if we have a crash, we can go back to the restore level and bring up all our stuff to the right level. And that, there was a system that he had, I don't have the numbers here. I can look it up and get it again. I just don't have the documentation
I just
here.
think that's a better way to spend the
Yeah.
money, only
It
because
is.
Okay.
it's gonna back it up, and we probably could save on the backup thing, but it's gonna back it up, it's gonna update itself, they're gonna
Oh, yeah.
maintain this, because once you buy a computer, it's already outdated, so it's
Even-
just the
Yeah,
reality
in
of
5 or 6 years.
computers, we're having to replace them every 5 years anyway, so.
Yeah,
So we didn't replace the server last year,
No,
even
no.
though we budgeted for it.
right. We delayed it because we tried to get another year out of it before the
All right.
new systems came in, so we didn't do anything with it.
How much does a subscription cost to this cloud service?
Depends
you're
on
I
the
don't
talking
amount
know.
of storage that you need.
Yeah,
I mean,
and,
I can't imagine.
and some of the
that much
backups,
storage, but-
well,
Because we do a lot of, like, the clerk
Yeah.
updates all the stuff to the 360 program there, so that's all scanned up into there.
It's just much more secure too, like, we won't lose our data ever.
It is.
Right.
It-
well, right now, we.
And we
all
have
our
a fire here, I don't care how
Yeah, a
many backups you
flood,
have.
anything, it's
It's
done.
gone.
So I'll look
You
at
need an
that.
off-site backup.
I'll look and see if we can swap or replace the 10,000 with that. I'll find that out next week and give you an email.
You'll
on it.
get back with us on that.
Yeah, and if it looks reasonable, I'll just put the new numbers in at a reduced rate, whatever it is. Then we can discuss it at the adoption of the preliminary. Okay, now, let's see where we are. Oh, computer and hardware replacement, yeah. We typically put 500 in case somebody needed something, but we're, with the replacements needed, because we're at System 7 for most machines, next year, we're gonna start losing the ability to upgrade them because Windows 7 is stopping. So not putting a big hit on a budget, we're gonna look at 3 replacements for the most critical and using machines, and then the following year, we'll put another 4 in, and, we'll just dribble along our way until we get them all replaced up to 10.
1,700?
Well, it's a
1,700 each?
display and a regular machine,
Right.
Yeah, but why would you need another display?
because they changed the plugs on them.
No,
On the new computers,
no.
I have a relatively new one.
They
Didn't,
all use the either USB or.
No, they use the
HVC
HD,
or.
HDI.
Right.
HDMI.
Well,
They're both.
HDMI is for the laptop, not for the regular computers.
That's what they use on them all. That's what he told me. I haven't bought a new one, so I don't know.
I think that could be
I'm
reduced.
using as Fred. But Fred said that's why they've changed all this stuff, because they've changed the plugs.
Well, I mean, you can buy a video card for probably less than what it costs to buy a monitor.
And a lot of these are the old CRT tubes too. But, they work.
We just question that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
What, for computers?
17.
Oh. Okay, so that was that piece. Now we go into the other part of buildings and grounds. Travel, I left the same, 200 each year. Postage, I upped it by $300 from $3,000 to $3,300. Postage is going up every year. Telephone, got the right line? Yeah, that's the right line.
Why 11,000? We replaced the telephone.
That's what it seems like it is when I'm looking at the bills right now.
Oh, you're talking about the telephone bill.
The bill, yeah,
Bill, yeah,
yeah, the service.
the service. That's what it looks like.
And that's why when we changed our phone system, I wanted to go to the
Yeah.
VoIP system. Our phone bill would have been in half.
Electricity looks like it's coming down. I don't,
How's that happen?
I guess,
The FERC
propane,
tax and the
Took your
propane
phone
going
down.
down, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm looking at, actuals for this year.
Wait
and
till next year.
Like, yeah, so
I wouldn't bet
I
the
came
ranch on
down 3,000, from 2,500 to 2,200, which is good.
Thousand.
Heating fuel oil, I increased it to 7,000. We went to we had 5,000 last year, and we overspent that. Now, I'd asked you to evaluate buying regular oil versus the use of used oil in the highway garage.
And I'll fall on my
versus-
sword, because I did not do that.
And, look at the expense, because we spent thousands of dollars with maintenance on the system, whether it was worth,
I promise I'll talk to Theron tomorrow.
because we can do a savings there, but right now, I have no way of proving, I just gotta cover my expenses.
But how much of this is Theron? That's all of it?
It's all of it,
Okay,
it's all Theron.
all right.
This is all geothermal here, all of this stuff.
Yeah, I know that, but I just
It's
want to
all
make sure.
geothermal.
All right,
Propane has gone up from 1,000, I put 1,500, based on current year usage so far. So it looks like that's going up. I don't know that propane's gonna stay as low as it's always been, with everything else going up. Other services includes generator maintenance and stuff like that. I left it at 5,000. And then we get down into the BAS program, went from 3,550 up to 3,830. The antivirus stayed the same, 630 for both years. Laserfiche stayed the same for both years for maintenance. Codification maintenance stayed the same for both years, 1,200.
Now, you have this under building and grounds? I mean, isn't that part of the clerk budget?
That's where we've had all the software maintenance in the past. I mean, we can put codes all over the place, but then it gets to be a nightmare trying to put them all. I
It
mean,
just seems like it should be under clerks.
oh, there's a lot of things that could be separated out, but let me tell you, I don't have time to do all of that cross-checking and putting them all together.
it is a lot easier budget-wise to put it all
You know,
together.
we identify them here and we know where they are, and
As long as you break them out, that's
yeah.
fine.
And let's see, the next thing down here. Okay, we upgraded from G Suite from basic to business, costs $80 for the whole year. That was one of the improvements. And then the training for that, for the people, will be to about 300. And this allows them then to have documents that are shared automatically, in I'll say a cloud kind of environment, so anybody could have access to those documents. Say you're upgrading the employee handbook, and we all want to put changes and see what it looks like while we're in the process. We all can hop in and do things. We don't have that capability right now. You got to send it back and forth to individuals. So that's what that does. Let's see, I lost track. Here we are. And this is the backup recovery. I left it the same. backup recovery maintenance costs. So that may fade into the cloud thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but right now, that's just left the same. Copier maintenance went up $200 from $5,200. Went up 200 to 5,400. We got 3 machines instead of 2, and for $200 more, that's pretty cheap. That's a good deal. Denise did a good job on getting that pricing. Monthly virus review and all, this is Fred coming, check your computers as needed, upgrading, touching up questions that the people have, all that's 3,000. Supplies, we had 3,000 last year, looks like we're going over it this year, so I put 4,000. Office supplies went from 4,000 to 6,000, again, that's based on what it looks like our spending rate is for this year.
What's the difference between those two categories? Supplies and office supplies? What would you-
Office supplies would be paper.
Yeah, what is,
Other supplies, toilet paper. Can it be,
Wow.
you could write on.
you got the
toilet paper.
message?
Toilet paper works both ways, doesn't it?
Plus you have soap and
Well-
you've got
Well, you can write on toilet paper with soap, and so you.
paper towels for the bathroom, whatever.
Okay, that makes a difference now.
Here we go.
Other and penalties,
Moving on.
I put 100. Last year was 100, I put 500 now. So, looks
What-
like
What are the penalties? When you say other
weird
penalties?
things
Okay,
that pop up.
all right.
We get them from various state agencies. $25, $50. You never know what they are. Okay. And then here is, the next is repair and maintenance item, parts and garage and stuff like that. Garage doors, still further improvements to them. I put a total of 10,000. The garage doors would have been 4,000. We're getting a lot of maintenance items. Probably going to have to do more roof repairs in addition.
That's a big increase from last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's, you know,
We had that
specific-
as a grant at one point, but
Yeah,
we
I know,
didn't
but
get
that-
it, right?
No, well,
The roof.
the roof we got
Roof we got,
as a grant for
but the
next year.
door, we didn't.
No, not this little piece, yeah. We
It's a
got,
lot of money,
yeah. It's the big door stuff.
I know.
Okay, now, the elevators and lifts, we had 4,000 last year. It looks like we're gonna be going out, let's see, which one it is? Oh, shoot, I forgot. One of these, we're going out for bid next month at the town board meeting.
Because we had like a 3-year contract.
You had a
that-
3-year, but one of them is next year and the other one is the following year. I forget which is which, so I upped it from 4,000 to 4,500.
Yeah, I think the elevators was probably the one that's probably up for bid.
Yeah, I think so too. I have it in my other notes, I just didn't put it on here. The other one is air conditioning and heating, the geothermal system, 2,500 to 3,000. Again, this includes if we call them in to fix something, you know, something's not working, and we've had them come in on air conditioning for that kind of stuff, and that's typically $200, $300 to come in to go and check a leak here or whatever. Plumbing and heating maintenance, that went from 1,500 to 3,000. That's part of the question I said in the highway garage. It's bigger bucks than this, but hopefully we can cut that back.
Oh, wait a minute now, what? The 22,000, and this is still part of that?
No, this is the plumbing and heating maintenance. When I said we wanted to determine, do we want to use oil in the
Right,
furnace or not?
right.
Well, part of plumbing and heating maintenance is included in the 3,000 to cover that kind of work. That seems to be excessive. We could probably get a $1,500 or 2,000 out of that if we can come up with a better plan. But I gotta show what I show.
Okay.
Building maintenance, this is hardware stuff, 3,100 for both years, keeping it the same. Generator maintenance went up by $50 for a year, from 450 to 500, that were going out for contract. Shelving left the same at 350 for both years. I don't know, we talked about it last year, Masonic Hall window sealing, the wind still blows through, whether to use, I proposed other approaches, much more costly, but more cost-effective in the long run, and we never resolved it, so I just left this here in case we gotta put, something on the windows like the cheap plastic like you do at home on the inside, nail it to the walls or the side of it. And then the garage roof thing disappears because that's in the grant and that's shown at it'll probably be a next year, that's under the DD grant. You see it here?
Is that the 28.9 for the group?
Yeah, 28.9. And the library is there, that's a DD grant. We officially didn't get it. I keep hearing that we're getting it, but it'll be a next year income.
In
It's an official-
2019.
19.
Yeah. But
We may
it's a
not-
sure thing?
I don't know until she sends me a letter. I don't have it.
Yeah, Rich, I talked to him on Saturday, and he said it was in.
I know, that's what I said, that's what he told me, but I
You
mean,
know, what he told me was that it has to be approved by the full assembly, and so he thinks it'll be approved, but he can't tell us for sure until it
Yeah.
actually happens.
and then Cuomo's got to approve it too. And he only does it every 3-4 months at his will. So they all stack up. I mean, when I did the Sereno grant, I had that same problem. Waited and waited and waited so that I could do something, because I can't, until I get a letter back from the housing authority, I can't do any expenditures, can't do anything. So,
Ray, can I ask a question?
Sure.
If I may? I don't understand, you've got garage doors in here twice. Here's the grant for 50,000, 12,000 for garage doors.
yep,
But then there's garage doors also under A1620-491.
which are we talking, Lynn?
So you have it, so it shows up twice.
162491, you have garage doors
Yeah.
there.
Right,
And then you
4,000.
have it
What's the
here.
difference
Yeah,
there?
okay.
How is that, how are they different?
This is different scope of work, both to the same doors, but different scope of work. We did not include this originally in the SAM grant. This was for the metal beams on the side that go up the sides of the garage doors, the
That's-
C-channels.
That's what the 4,000 is?
No,
That's the
that's
12.
the
Oh,
12.
that's the 12.
And the redoing of the macadam, of the concrete blocks, Hollywood blocks that were banged up.
Yeah, okay.
This garage doors is the weather stripping, new riser, rollers, springs, operational stuff, not the physical stuff that's attached to the building, but stuff attached to the doors. That's why it's two separate pieces.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're off on page 9 here. Insurance, that was a hard one, because nobody gives insurance rates out. You can't get them until December. So, best guess, dealing with our broker company, looks like it's $4,000 increase for NYMER. That's a guess. It could only be 2,000, just don't know. And this is the same trauma we go through every year.
Well, they have to file with the state, so they would have had to have filed already, so you kind of know where they're going. At least the broker should know where they're going as far as, you know, if they put into the state for a 10% increase, they should know it, just like they do on the health insurance. You know, you can kind of guess where it's going.
Yeah, well, that's what the broker, they said, you
Right.
know. So I put a number in that they gave me.
Okay.
And they may be wrong. Hopefully, they're not
Yeah, because the
under.
state still has to approve whatever
The
their
state's got-
requests
and
are.
that- And they don't do that until end of November or beginning of December.
Well, they could reject their request and make them come back and reapply.
I
and
understand,
whatever.
but you don't get formal words. So that's the dilemma we have there. It says town,
Is it likely to be more than $4,000 increase, you think?
unlikely. The Association of Town Dues went from 999 to 1,000. Supervisors and mayors dues, 350, state 350. Northern Dutchess Alliance, state 500 for both years. So those no, essentially $1 change. Chargebacks to the county, I've been using 900 last year, this year, and in previous years. This-
9,000.
9,000. The actual bill for this year came in to be $7,003.89. And what it is, for example, say somebody who wins a tax certiorari and we overcharged them on taxes, we got to pay back, and that's what some of this is. Plus, it's OCIS charges on printing up books and doing all the computer stuff that they do for the town. So it's all included in that document. So 9,000 generally always covers it, but the number could be 8,000, it could be 9,100, never know. I left contingency the same, 20 for both years. Dog control officer, looks like he's traveling a lot based on what I saw. No, he's traveling less. Last year it was 700, I put 600. So actuals look like it should be coming down. Telephone stayed the same, 300. Pine Plains vet fees left at 600 for both years. Looks like that's, again, that's a variable. If we don't catch dogs, we don't spend the money. Don't know. And then $100 for supplies like leashes and gloves and those kind of things. So the net difference there for the total for that office is $100 less than last year. Next one is building inspector. Okay. Building inspector, travel went up from 1,000 last year to 1,200 this year. He's traveling more when I look at the records for this year. Conventions and training, doesn't look like he's spending, well, we had 500 last year, but it looks like it's going to be 1,000 this year going to training, based on actuals for this year. Supplies, $25. That's all he has, so the difference there is about $700, mostly made with conventions and conventions and training up 500 and 200 on travel. Next one is highway superintendent, expenses. Conventions and trainings, I just left $100 there. If he goes locally, some of them are $25 or $50, whatever. $50 for supplies, $50 for office supplies. Dues stayed at 100. So essentially, the numbers didn't change. Economic assistance went up roughly $100 from $1,577 to $1,656. That's the Dutchess County Community Action Agency. Recreation and Parks, this next one. Okay. Okay. Electricity. Oh, well, let's see. We got postage. We put $100 in for postage this year. Nancy thought we may want to do some mailings or something like to the kids who went to summer camp or something like that to invite them back so that maybe we can keep the volume up and stuff like that. So that's what that is. And the same thing with newspaper, maybe putting a newspaper ad in or something like that. So that's 400. So those both are new. Electricity was 3,200 last year. It looks like it's going to be 3,500 this year. I mean, in next year. Porta potty looks like it went up $60 from $3,000 to $3,060. Trash pickup was 3,300 last year, 3,400 this year is what it looks like it is. We should be pretty much closing out the parks. General supplies, looks like 3,000 should cover it. Clay, we had 1,200 and 1,200 now on clay, sand, and mulch. I've been pushing the county to go out for the towns on a bid to see if they get a better deal.
Yeah, where are we
I've
with
been-
that?
Well, I've been pushing Chris Barkley to do that since February.
A long time ago.
Yeah, and so I just sent him another email saying, hey, what are we going to do about that? And I did the same thing for culvert pipe, stones, macadam, you know,
Right.
the general purpose stuff that everybody uses. So we'll see what happens on that, but that would help us save things. So sand, beach sand, which was $750 last year, is $1,650 this year because we don't buy sand every year, we buy it like every other year. And the reason we buy it every other year is it costs more in transportation whether you fill a truck or not. So to drive 2 half trucks is more expensive than 1 full truck. And then that's the sand. The mulch went from 1,100 to 1,500. Other, that's miscellaneous stuff that they need down there. Like bags for the baseball courts and stuff, baseball things or not volleyball, volleyballs or basketballs, whatever. Crafts, summer camp thing, we left it at 1,000 for both years. Seems like, you know, we have enough left over that we don't have to do a big hit each year. Pond and weed control stayed 500 both years. Then we got, this was a new adder at Nancy's request, rec park maintenance, to use half of the income from pavilion rentals to provide improvements to the building, you know, the pavilion and other type features down there. It doesn't have to be just the pavilion. Could be the backstops, it could be whatever, at 2,000. So that's a different one. We never had that one there.
So you don't mean cleaning up? It's not cleanup stuff?
No, it's we want half the revenue to be able to put back into the parks. The parks are
Someplace.
starting to wear out, okay?
Okay, then we have health director for rec camps. We had 200 last year, 300 this year. That seemed like the number that was being put forth.
Yeah.
And then summer camp accident insurance, we had 350. I put it to 400 because they're expanding the camps from 4 to 6 weeks. It's got to be a little hit there. So that's what that is. Total difference is roughly 6,000.
The community events, what is that?
Yeah, what's the new line
That's
there?
new, right?
Yeah.
I know that this could be subject to cutting depending upon where we are bottom line, but for the last 2 years, I've really been trying to push that we have a community day, okay? I think this community needs to get together, and we've lost a lot in terms of the parades and the daffodils and the tractor pulls and
The
everything
only
else.
community day we have is the bonfire in February.
Yeah,
Bonfire is all we
January.
have.
when I was at the library tag sale just last month, people from the fire department said they wanted a community day again, and people from the library said it too.
I feel that
They'd all take
we get
part.
everybody involved. We've
Yeah.
got a community of a lot of businesses that they defunct their organization, but I'm sure they'd be willing to contribute, so, I
Yeah, I
think,
mean, we used to have two. We used to have the tractor pull, and then we used to have the other one over at
The
the.
Daffodil Festival and the one in Clinton Corners Community Day.
Right. And, you know, obviously, we used to have fireworks at the one, and,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but essentially what happened was the Historical Society bailed out of supporting it, which meant we couldn't use their facilities. And they said they wanted to have Heritage Day or whatever they called it. And I said it'd last 5 years, and it lasted about 4 years and disappeared.
I don't remember that the Historical Society bailed out a community day, Ray.
Yes, they did.
I think it was a little bit more complicated than
I,
that.
I talked to Jeff.
Well, the version I've heard is very different, so let's
That's what
not,
he said.
let's not cast aspersions here
Okay, well,
until we know.
that was it.
But in fact, there was a Heritage Day, and that went on for several years.
Yeah, it
And then
went on.
eventually,
It died.
and that petered out as well. It was very successful for a couple of years. And then,
That's like all new stuff.
yeah, and then there was a lot,
Yeah.
general
Yeah, yeah. It died.
decrease in interest, and eventually it just sort of,
well, you know what was really nice too is also, we used to do the, we call it the farm tour. I mean, we used to go around to the different farms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
It was a
was,
farm tour.
we'd end up either at the Historic Society or somewhere, have lunch.
yeah,
In
we
fact,
did.
Mega hosted lunch one
couple of
One
those.
time, and,
Yes, yes,
you know, it's a nice community get-together, and I think we should kind of look into that.
yeah. Yeah, there is a gentleman, in terms of Community Day, there's a gentleman who's the pastor, I don't know if you've ever spoken with him of, was it the Cornerstone Church, the one that's out near the Parkway,
Yeah,
who several years ago was trying to.
he's not there anymore.
Mickey was his name or something, Reverend Mickle or Mickey or something?
No,
He was trying to
He's not there anymore.
trying to
He-
rejuvenate
Yeah, he had
Community
a
Day.
very sick child and went
Uh-huh.
back to Pennsylvania where his hometown was, so
okay.
they get family support and medical
Okay,
support.
well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was very interested in
Yeah.
trying to get it going again, but
well,
There was
this obviously
a lot of inertia.
is
had
a
set in by the
cursory
time.
attempt, but I've envisioned it being primarily at Franmark Park with a lot of ancillary activities,
sure.
depending upon the kind of financial support we get from the community. I think it's time.
Okay, yep.
Thank you.
So you think 1,500 is enough for that, or?
No, this is just a token. No, the rest of it's going to come from elsewhere. I'm going to charm them all, okay?
Oh, you're such a charmer.
Maybe we better increase
You
that.
do your magic.
We gotta pay some people off, don't they?
Try a big stick, okay?
Do you have a flute and have a snake come out of the thing?
Okay.
Okay, now we're off to the next page. Oops, I went too fast.
Pages we have to go here.
Too fast. Library, historian, senior citizens, that's where we are.
We certainly are.
Senior citizens, this is the summer picnic primarily. Was 410 last year, it's 500 this year for this 19.
You going to have it this year in our
Oh, yeah, they
park?
have. Well, it doesn't matter where it is, we still pay wherever our people go.
Well, we've been hosting Hyde Park, so this time we went over to Hyde Park, so.
Well,
Okay.
no, the reason it was held in Hyde Park, not because they didn't like our facilities. The day before, they had it all set up for a disabled picnic, and they didn't want to dismantle it, move it to Clinton, and reassemble it.
Oh.
To save costs, they just held it there.
Right.
So there's no guarantee that that's going to continue to be there, but that's the reason why it was there, because I asked them. And we had almost over $400, $410 worth of people. You know, whenever you sign up is what they charge you, not what you eat. So if you don't cancel out in advance, we got to pay for the meal.
Okay.
What happens if more show up?
Then we pay more.
Well, then we should hedge our bets and
Well, that's why
usually
when
go 10% less than what you sign up for.
Okay. All right, cable TV, here we are. Cable TV is 200 for tapes, cables and stuff like that. And $50 for other kind of stuff that we may need. So it's no big expense there. It's same as last year. $250 total. Zoning administrator. Travel was 400 because Don wasn't doing much traveling last year, or in the previous years. Looks like Mike is doing more travel, so based on what I saw in actuals, I increased it to 750 to cover that. That's the only expense in that line. So it went up 350, that one. Planning board and ZBA. Travel, looks like Arlene's doing a lot of running around because she hand delivers some documents, which are $5 or $10. These big packets for the planning board and ZBA. So I increased it from 500 to 800. Newspaper notices and legal ads and stuff, I still left at 300. Seems to be reasonable. $25 for books and updates. They don't get much. No, supplies, my mistake, wrong line, supplies. Federation dues went up $20 from 100 to 120. And I put zoning revision update, $8,000. That's to cover a secretary, to record, or whatever else you need to do. I don't know. If you got a better number, tell me and we'll change it. I just
We're
left
gonna
to
need
say,
that much? $8,000?
I don't know. Somebody's got to record the minutes at every workshop, make all the changes to all the documents. So you get them in final form. I don't know who's going to do it.
I thought you were gonna do that.
Nope. You're an editor, you could do it. You know how to type fast.
Sure, $8,000 will cover it. Seriously, though.
No, we've always had somebody,
Yeah, no, that's fine, but no, the
Yeah.
question for Dean, do we think
Yeah.
we're gonna need $8,000 to cover this? What's left?
I'm sure if we don't use it there, we'll be using it in legal fees.
All right.
as I
And
say,
that's what we did before, was I didn't use the secretary so that I could offset what the planner was costing.
Yeah.
Because we doubled the time that we were meeting
Yeah.
just to get
Yeah.
it done.
Yeah.
Instead of lasting the whole year, we got it done in June instead.
well, you know,
Keep it.
but,
Keep it there.
you know, I'm up for grabs on changing it, I just don't know.
Okay.
So that's that one.
Just don't rewrite the whole thing. We'll have to spend $8,000 on it.
Well, you know, whatever comes out of the workshop, you gotta sort of document so you know what's happening. CAC, the numbers really didn't change, they're the same for both years, $100 for conventions and training, and $400 for supplies. They go get maps and stuff like that, and they go to a couple meetings to train. Okay, the next one here is, there we go. SHRAC has nothing. Okay, here we go. Refuse and garbage. Trash pickup, that's at the town halls here. I left it the same as $1,900 for both years. Road,
Now, that 1,900, you're saying, that's just for our dumpster? Or is that including the recycling?
no, not recycling. Recycling is self-sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, they charge people as they dump it, so.
Yep, it's not us.
I mean, 1,900 just for here
Well,
seems like
the
high.
highway has their dumpster there too,
Yeah.
which they put a lot of stuff in. You can ask them how much they use.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not full, then.
We've spent it this year.
Yeah.
No, they'll bill you.
yeah.
If the dumpster's half empty and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and they're coming every week, I mean,
But
they
if-
can do it on a call basis instead of a weekly basis.
If you do it on call, though, it depends, a lot of times will charge you
Well,
extra.
that's what we're doing in the parks. When we shut it down, they're not coming and taking the
Right.
dumpster away. They're gonna say, well, if you
They'll
need
just
us.
lock it.
Well, they're not even locking it. They should lock it, but, you know, they'll just come on a call basis until you call them back and say, start up again.
And roadside cleanups, we had 400 last year. I put 500 this year, figuring the dumpster's gonna get more expensive. Don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. Tire disposal, I left it 1,000, because we never know how many tires we gotta get rid of that people bring in. And the highway, I mean, they're big grader tires and stuff that are as tall as we are. They're like a couple $100 to get rid of one tire. And then the supplies are stickers. These are the recycling stickers for the park and for the recycling center. Stayed the same at 100. So that one went up $100. Cemetery expenses is all new. So we only had $1,000 last year because we didn't know what to do.
We still don't know what to do.
Well, we're trying. We're
We're trying.
really trying.
Well, I'll throw out a couple things, just,
So,
go ahead, Ray.
yeah, I just was gonna go down.
Go ahead.
We put travel in here for $100, if people have to go back and forth to the cemeteries or whatever. Conventions and training. Elliot and I went on a webinar. We joined a company, and you'll see that under dues. It's historical, but it's cemetery. Don't ask me why, but that's what it is. So the one training session was $40 on a webinar, and we two participated together, so it only cost us 40 rather than two people. Postage, we put $50 down there. May not be enough, may be enough, where you gotta send bills out to people when you bury them or something like that. Legal, other supplies, this is contracts for mowing and stuff like that. This could be, fixing fences, who knows? We're just learning about this. Other supplies, $50 would be like American flags to put on Veterans Day, not veterans, but in the beginning of the year, Memorial Day. Or office supplies, envelopes, paper. We don't have a structure yet, so this is the problem we have here. And dues, we put $100, it's $98 was the dues this year. We're good for a year, so we can see if we want to redo it or not after we see it. But they had a lot of information available
I'm not
to
sure.
look at on the webpage that you can download. And,
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll need to,
well,
but we'll see.
we'll see. It's one of these
Paid
things.
for a year.
And then I left $2,000 in for the town attorney, hoping that that should cover us, because this year we've spent probably $4,000 to $6,000. I don't have the exact number in front of me. On attorney expenses, on writing all the resolutions, dealing with Albany, trying to get all the information needed to do this conversion, and writing documents and getting agreements, all that kind of stuff. And then the last item there, oh, no, the next one is burial services. This is to pay somebody to come in and dig the grave, fill up the grave, put the grass back and all that kind of stuff.
We get that much.
I thought that was part of the undertaker's.
That's what I thought too.
Fees.
No,
You don't get that back?
we get it back, but that's under income.
Oh, okay.
We charge, say we charge 100.
Right.
No, we charge 100, but we only have to pay 75, we can make
I
25
see,
on it.
okay, all right,
Whatever the numbers come out, and that's something you gotta
Right.
develop,
Got
those
it.
numbers.
got it.
And then maintenance supplies and projects, we don't know offhand what that might be till we take over the things and really start understanding it. And again, it could be fencing, it could be something else like that.
Ray, I'd
Yeah.
like to take you back to the equipment purchase line,
Yeah, I left it 0.
0. We've already estimated $9,000 on the maintenance side. Truck,
That's up, but that's in the, isn't that up under the top of the page where it says,
That's
the
the
labor-
person.
that's the
no,
person?
that's the set person,
Right, but you need a trailer, a mower,
with
a
trailer
truck.
and a truck, 6 and 3.
I thought we had decided that we would try to get through the first year without it.
No. Not in the meeting I was in. No, we said we would share mowers. Theron had a mower, and we would share the second mower, the old mower from the rec. So mowers were not the issue. But a truck and a trailer to go to all these cemeteries, we needed that.
Can't drive down the road with a mower.
We said $6,000 for a truck, a used truck, and three for a trailer. So
Okay, well.
that's a $9,000 line
I
item.
was, for some reason, under the impression that Severn thought we could get through a year without.
Not unless he agreed to something after our meeting. I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Well, let me throw a couple of
Let
other
me
things
just
in
finish
here.
right.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let's add your thing and then
Oh,
I'll tell
okay,
you
well,
mine.
yeah, I did a little,
You got some more numbers?
got some more numbers, yeah. I was in contact today with Tim Houlihan about
Okay.
the report,
I
and,
mean, financial audit type
well,
things.
yeah, a simple report, not an audit, was pretty much what we expected, about $1,000 he estimated.
Per each. Or per total.
I'm hoping it's total. I'll have to look at his email. What does it say here?
As I say, fire districts pay about $5,000.
Yeah, for a full audit,
Well,
which this would not be. Okay, what does he say here?
it's a cheap audit, it's not a full
yeah.
one.
What we would propose is to look at the numbers and related documents, prepare a report, not an audit for the town. My best guess is that this would be somewhere around $1,000. So I read that, I'll confirm it, but I read that as a total number. Okay? The trick is going to be getting him the documentation in whatever form it is, and we don't know at this point. I mean, we've seen some of the recent bank statements, but you know, they've got stuff going back who knows how many years on little pieces of paper and shoe boxes or who knows what. So that's a logistical issue that we're going to have to deal with. But anyway, in any case, in terms of the numbers, $1,000. Of course, this is a one-time thing, doesn't repeat, but we would need to do it this time.
Is that
this year.
per cemetery? or
What's that?
Per
That's what
cemetery?
you just asked.
No, I'm reading, I'll confirm it,
He's
but
thinking it's total, but
I'm
there's-
reading this as a total number.
That's cheap.
Well, let's hope that it is total number. As he said, a full audit would be more in the neighborhood of 5,000 or
And is
6,000.
that for 3 cemeteries or 2?
That's what I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for 3 or for 2? Probably, I think I asked him for 2 because that was all we're talking about now. We're not
Yeah.
talking about doing an audit.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking.
Yeah, so I said 2, that we're in the process of getting 2 cemeteries.
You know, the big thing with that is also to logistically look at what the title search says and what the what the financials say, that if there was, like I said, there was plots sold in the last 3 years, it should match up with some money coming in, and especially for perpetual care, it should have been into that budget. And I don't know if I would think that the state controller should be auditing these.
They send up their reports every year to the state people, so I mean, they look at it every year, and
So I'm saying that those
I don't know
numbers
what
should
you
be
mean, yeah.
accessible, is what I'm saying is.
Well, the Division of Cemeteries would be through the Department of State, so
Yeah.
I don't know who would be responsible. I guess we can try to find out.
well, it was the people we were dealing with,
Yeah, trying to,
trying to deal with,
yeah,
who
more to the point.
disappeared.
Yeah, they're kind of MIA on us, but, okay.
Because they changed from having a requirement of having a fidelity bond to having a commercial liability policy. And ultimately, it's the same thing. They're just making sure that someone's not squandering with the funds. And so if we're releasing them from that liability policy, we should really have this audit to verify that they've maintained all the things that they need to do before we release that liability policy from having to be liable. Because, that's kind of the checks and balances that we should provide anyway.
But, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter if we're required by law to take these over.
Again, if we're releasing the liability company from having that liability to maintain the financial integrity of the books, we shouldn't release them from that liability until we've done an audit. That's all I'm saying.
And
It's just like having a subdivision and we release that bond. Would we release that bond before they do the final paving? No. So, I
They
mean,
even have a company doing this, what you're
I don't
saying.
know.
Do they have what do you call a liability?
yeah, it's a state requirement.
They would have to do that. The associations would have to do that.
Yep.
they could, I just don't know.
Like I said, it changed from a fidelity bond to
Yeah.
a commercial liability policy.
Commercial liability, okay. Well,
And it's just really to make sure that nobody squandered the funds, but
Yeah,
that's,
yeah, okay. The related issue which you
Well,
mentioned.
let's finish this one.
Oh, okay,
If we do it,
commercial
the
liability.
$1,000 comes out of this year's budget, our tax budget, because I have no income, I have nothing to write it off against.
right.
Well, I'm just saying, it's
Well,
another expense to the town.
What about the
this
money
year.
that comes to us from the cemeteries? Isn't that an
We haven't
income?
gotten that money.
Well, no, I understand
We don't even
that,
know what it is.
but.
Oh, I know roughly
Yeah,
what
we know
it is.
roughly what it is, but in 2 months we will.
But I can't plan on it.
Okay, you can't, I mean, you can't plan on it so as far as the budget is concerned, but we know it's coming.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing.
Checks in the mail.
But I'm just saying that I can't get their money
Express.
until we have the official
Well,
transfer.
that segues into the next
Yeah,
issue.
no, so I'm just
what-
saying that,
Well, let me put this one on
Do
the
we
table
wanna
too,
put-
because this is an expense also.
Okay.
Because we're talking about a twofold thing. You
Okay.
mentioned the D-transfer. Shane is working on getting an estimate, a firm estimate. He gave me a ballpark, which he thinks is pretty accurate, of figure, there are 4 parcels. He thinks that for no more than $2,000, we can get an appraisal. It's going to be a little expensive.
Appraisal or a search?
I'm sorry, a search, a title search. of
And
the
and it's not a title policy, it's just a
It's
search.
a search, but there are 4 parcels, so I guess you pay per parcel.
Yeah.
And the problem is that because these are so old, it's going to be a labor-intensive process.
Yeah, I don't know how necessarily we need to go far back, but
I mean, I'm not, for that matter, it's not clear that we even have to do it at all. I mean, this is a safety step that we're taking to make sure that there are no encumbrances.
the cemetery's at
If
least
it's
100 to 150
something you
years
wanted to
old.
do,
Just,
he thinks if we budget $2,000, we'll be fine.
right.
But again, that's
for
coming off the top.
all cemeteries.
With no income. So we're not talking about $1,000, we're talking about $3,000.
Right.
Laying out $3,000, give or take, with nothing to write it against.
Well, it's a necessity because
But,
it's,
well, yeah.
we're being forced to do this.
Well, it's certainly a safety, yeah. I mean, I would recommend doing it because I think we want to know that we're doing it right.
Right.
And that nobody's going to come up, step up to the plate 6 months later and say, you had no right to do that because I own that property. I mean, who knows? These things do happen. And I don't know how careful the records were being kept and stuff.
Just so you know,
So, anyway.
we're talking 3 cemeteries, 4 parcels. The Schultzville Cemetery right down here is 2
two
parcels.
parcels.
Just so you know.
Oh,
But
okay.
in terms of the audit or report, I only asked for 2 because we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
So that'll have to come later.
Right.
So that'd be a next year expense.
But the title search would be for all.
Might as well do for all of them. Yeah, he said do for all of them. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
As they're going through the books.
Might as well. I mean, I suppose we could do a title search on 2, but then we're just gonna have to
You're
do
gonna do
another
it
one
again, yeah.
3 months later.
Yeah.
Or 4 months later, assuming Schultzville comes on board, which I suspect they will. So we have to budget $3,000 to cover these things. So that has to be figured in
Well, yeah, that's for this year's expense.
for this year. Right, exactly.
Okay.
So is there consensus, or do you want to vote?
I say yay.
What do you say? Do you want a consensus or vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading ahead here. I'm thinking 2 more pages. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Everybody
I
in
agree.
favor?
Yes.
Okay, so a consensus.
So we'll keep working on this. Try to get some more exact numbers.
But that, this doesn't affect the budget, but it affects this year's budget, not next year's budget. Okay, now, what I was going to say is, we're going to be able to, we ran around back and forth, up and down, on this preventive maintenance funds that they have. And the question came up while we were doing it, were there any trusts involved? Because if there were trusts involved, we had to go to court to get relief, to get the money out. As far as we've found so far, talking to all the people, there are no trusts involved. So that says we can then take the money out of the perpetual maintenance, but they'll be in reserve funds, because I want to try to keep an audit trail so we don't get loused up.
There's also the insurance we need to factor in too.
Well, yeah, we don't know that
We're
yet.
gonna need to get vandalism. We may
Maybe.
need- yeah, Maybe.
Yeah,
We need to
we
find
just
out.
don't know.
Well, people's homeowners insurance cover their vandalism on their grave sites, so
Oh, it does? Oh, I don't know. But a lot
that's
of-
their asset, that's their stone.
Yeah, but a lot of times,
What about for people who, yeah,
they're dead or don't live in California.
they're dead because they're in the cemetery. but-
I mean,
Stone
a lot of
from
these people-
1850,
Yeah.
Someone holds the title to that,
Yeah.
to that property, so.
But the person who owns it is dead, and it's in the trust or
How would you do,
in
how
whatever.
could you- how would you conceivably do that?
Oh, it's a lot of labor work to find all the tracing back, yeah. It can be done, very expensive.
But if the vandalism insurance is inexpensive, then it's
I
just
know,
worth doing it.
typically, right now, the insurance the various cemeteries, it's around $50 to $100 a year, paid to the state, but
Per
we don't
cemetery,
know the
yeah.
answer as to whether or not, since we would be doing it, do we get that same deal? And that's what Elliot's trying to
Yeah,
track down. So that's that one. Now, what I was saying before, if we took the expenses shown, 6,000 for the maintenance person, and the 7,950 for the materials, the contractual stuff, comes up to $13,950. And this is jumping ahead, but just so you know, on the income, which is the revenue side, which is further back, it comes up to 6,200. So the difference is 7,750. That 7,750 was shown here when I did this budget in the tax money. I say, we can now move that money from preventive maintenance over here. So the whole operation, not counting the trucks here, okay? We'd have to add that in. Is covered from the perpetual maintenance does not affect the budget line, a tax line, rather.
But
It's
how
not-
can, how can you count the professional maintenance if we don't have the money?
I'm putting it in here as coming,
Oh, okay. I
It's
thought you-
coming.
okay.
He's budgeting it in for next year.
for next
I
year.
thought you were saying you couldn't do that.
No, next year, I'm
Next year.
budgeting it that it's
All right,
coming.
All right.
So I would then have to add to that number a truck and I think another
Add another
9,000.
9,000 to it.
Okay, so that'll have to get changed to 16,750. That I'd have to show as income on the income line, and we'll get back to that in a moment, but right
So that
now,
would come off the money that they give us.
that's the money that they give us. So from a tax standpoint, we could be neutral on,
But can't we do the same thing with the, I mean, we can put off the title search and
No, we need to do that this year,
why can't we put it off until January?
because you're wanting to sign documents for this year, right?
yeah.
Is it essential that we have to do this year?
Well, until we sign the documents, we're not getting the money.
It's a cart and a horse.
Well, but also keep in mind that there's going to be a several-month delay while we wait for New York State to sign off on this.
I understand, but at least we have the
So
document.
this may not
in
even
process.
happen by the end of the year. Even if we sit down in November and,
Sign the documents.
or well, at least approve the resolutions, they still have to go to the Division of Cemeteries and who knows
But
when
even
it-
if you buy a house, you're gonna
Back
go
to
and
us.
you're gonna order an appraisal, you're gonna order a title search, you're gonna do all these things before you even close on the house, and you may not even close on the house. It's the same kind of, scenario.
Except insofar as we have to do this no matter what the results are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because this is gonna close no matter what.
yeah,
Well, more reason to get this done as soon as possible,
Yeah, well, that's what.
because we're gonna have to do it, we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah. So-
You know, if you wanna tell the attorney not to bill us until next year, I mean, that's another story.
It's not the attorney cost.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Don's got kids
So
in
I'm
college.
just explaining you the flow of the monies here, how it's working.
I mean, would that be better to bill it to next year's budget rather than this year, paying it this year? Does it make a difference insofar as the budget is
I don't know how
concerned?
long it's gonna take to physically get the money from them
Yeah, well,
to
that's
me.
all, yeah, I don't know. We'll
Probably
probably,
the sooner we start, the better. Is that what you're saying, since it could be a delay?
Well, no, they gotta cash in CDs.
but that's not gonna happen until after New York State signs off, and that could be who knows when.
And they gotta have real money to do something.
Right, I mean, they could sit on this thing for 2 months doing whatever
I
they
don't
do.
know. I'm just saying,
Before it
I
becomes a-
can't spend money I don't
It
have.
doesn't become official until we have their stamp on it, and
So that's why
So-
we're chugging ahead as fast as we can.
well, I mean, we might as well keep it going, but it could easily float into early next year anyway, in which case it comes up on next year's budget rather than the current one.
I suspect they're gonna have both of those reports done within a week, so
Well, that could be.
I don't think the work is gonna flow into next year, I
Oh,
think.
no, I'm not thinking of them, I'm thinking of getting a final
Oh,
approval
that, yeah.
from New York State.
No, that'll definitely take,
Yeah, I mean, who knows when that's gonna happen.
yep.
Okay, we'll keep plugging away.
Okay. Next page is
This is more than you ever wanted
workers'
to
comp.
know.
Every time we think we got it under control, it slips away.
Yes, it does.
This is PERMA, this is workers' comp. Was 16,500 last year, like 1,800 this year's, again from the broker.
You're planning on a 25% increase? New York State put in for workers' comp to go down this year.
Well,
Just saying.
what if it goes down? And, I can get another update before we adopt the budget, but I don't think I'll have another update until next Thursday. Unemployment insurance, $25. They always ask us for it. I don't know why, but they do.
Now, part of that 25% increase is because of the salaries increasing.
Well,
right?
some of that too.
Yeah, so that's not just
Yeah.
25% across the board because
No.
of just an increase. Yeah, okay.
Highway and employees, all of them. And let's see. So the 700 stayed the same for disability. Vision, there's no vision. The longevity stayed the same as last year. People didn't move around.
Nobody moved up into a
No,
higher
didn't move
category?
up.
Huh.
So that's
Okay.
that one. Stayed the same at 4,550. Oops. Oh, here it is. The bond principal went up 5,000. The taxes went, the interest went down from 27,925 to 26,07. So it went down 28 and 6, went down about 8,000. No, yeah, 8,000, no. No, down 1,000. 8,000, my mistake, 8,000, yeah. So it went up and went down, basically stayed flat, if you add the two together.
Clerk fees went down?
The principal went up and the interest went down.
What, no, for the clerk fees.
Oh, we didn't get there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were on the next.
No, no.
Okay, sorry.
Retirement reserve came down went up for next year. 99,564, it was 95,464 in 18. So it went up again, that's predicated on the number of employees and the amount of money they make. And the fire taxes don't matter, and the net taxes for the library don't matter. Those are all fixed, independent of us. Then we hop back under revenues. There we are. Okay, here we go, revenues. So the real property taxes went down from 475,285,000 to 371,161. Those numbers are going to change up and down as we made the changes in the budget, but that's the ballpark of what we are. Penalties and real property tax increases, property taxes, interest and stuff, I left it at 12,500. That's roughly what we get every year. Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 13, it's in that ballpark. Sales tax, looks like the economy was booming, so I increased from 200,000 to 220,000, so we had a growth there, unless somebody knows something else about the world. Cable, TV, I left the same, around 70,000, that's roughly where it comes in. Town clerk fees, doesn't look like we were doing much there for hunting, fishing, marriage, etc.
Is that where we are? About 300?
About 300, yeah.
So 750 was
Was on the high side.
on the high side.
But some years we did, so you never know. Vital statistics,
Well, a lot of people are getting those licenses from like Gander Mountain and stuff like that now.
or at some other store or some other town clerk. Vital statistics, we left the same, 500. Sticker sales, left at 800, it's pretty close. Tire disposal fee, We had it 200, I moved it down to 100, doesn't seem like people are turning in tires, so we're not charging them for it. Summer camp, 4 weeks, looked like we get about 7,000 for the 4 weeks. We added the sports camp for $900 for the 2 weeks there. We'll see what happens. It's a new number, new experience. If it doesn't fly, there's no income and there's no expense, so it just disappears. Pavilion rental was 4,000, I left it at 4,000. Zoning fees, there looked to be about the same, 1,500 for both years, no change. Planning board fees look about 2,500 both years. Interest and earnings, oops, where'd that get to?
Now you're reading from last year. There's
Yeah, I
all-
know, but I'm trying to find,
There's all the cemetery stuff,
oh, okay, the cemetery stuff popped in here.
yeah,
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah, so here's all, we figured 2,000 for, what, 4 burials or something like that?
Well, the plots are only selling for 500?
No, we haven't, well, we
We've
haven't,
got to make some
we
numbers
gotta,
up.
we gotta set the rates, but
We don't know what they are.
they're not more than,
They could be 750.
yeah. but
We
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think you should scan around, because I think I've heard $1,100 from
You
other
could probably,
places.
I mean, if we're assuming 4 burials, you could probably charge $1,000 for,
I don't know, so, you know, I'm
I
waiting.
mean, this is being conservative, I think, $2,000.
Just for guessing
You know,
numbers.
but some of them you charge less because they're, people bury urns and it's a different rate
Stack 'em.
scale.
They stack them.
Well, you could do three,
Or green
legally you
burials
could
or
do
less.
3 stacks, but it's more expensive on digging.
Yeah, but I was just talking about the sale of the plots.
Yeah, the plots, yeah. I don't know what the plot number is.
There's not more than a couple a year, I think we figured, right?
Yeah,
3
we
or 4.
figured 2.
Yeah, so if it's 2, it's probably a couple $1,000 is a reasonable number.
Yeah. And interments, we figured 4, roughly. Burials,
Could be a big marketing opportunity.
disinterments, that's people decide to move them. And then interest and earnings, I put 200 there. And that would be coming from the other funds. Dog licenses,
It's a,
oh, yeah,
it's a big drop, dog licenses from last year.
yeah. Just, some people are leaving town with their dogs.
Well, it's nice that they're taking their dogs with them.
Campground fees, I increased it by $50 from $350 to $400. Driveway permits, looks like they're doing a lot of driveway permits. We had 100 last year, we got 500 this year. Looks like that's more reasonable. Building permits, 2,500, seems to be the same both years, so it
25,000.
didn't change it. 25,000 rather. Court fees, I increased it by 10,000 from 150,000 to 160,000. Minor sales, left it at 50,000, 500, no, 50. Gotta-
Selling miners?
Selling minors?
No, we used to sell master plans and stuff. but
I can
we
make
don't
more
sell
than
them
50 bucks on that.
Okay,
Come to my
so
lawn.
donations, I just left it at 20,000, that seems to be the number. Occasionally we get
Michael
25.
has a couple of miners we could,
Miscellaneous income, that's for everything we don't know what else to do, it's 200. State revenue sharing is, I left it at 1,700, they haven't changed that number, so I didn't change the number.
Is that a formula number or is that just an arbitrary
It's
number?
an arbitrary number that the state decides to give us. Mortgage tax, I had 100,000 last year, I made it 120,000 this year. Looks like a lot of people are moving. Some of them have cash, don't pay mortgage tax, but a lot of them have to pay mortgage, so I put mortgage tax increasing. And then I put the SAM grant, because we're actually gonna
Freezing.
get the money this year for 50,000. It was the same as last year. Well, we didn't have it in the budget for last year. And shared services fuel system, we had, but we don't have it now. So I put the DD grant for the roof and the library, that's 110,500 in there, so that's new. Then I put in, and I gotta change this number, transfer from the reserve fund. This is the preventive maintenance for the cemetery. I had written in here the 7,750 that we talked about earlier. Now I gotta increase it for the next 9,000, put that number there. And transfer from accumulated balance to help balance out all the things. Changed from 13,000 last year to 125,000 this year, and that's all a function of trying to balance where the monies are and stuff. It doesn't matter where it is as far as it's general fund or highway fund. It comes out to be roughly the same total, but it's just got to see where it is. So that's what we had. So, you know, following all those changes and stuff, we actually showed an increase here in revenues of, I'm just doing a quick number, of about 20,000. Yep, the rest of it's all highway. Any further comments? So we'll go to press starting Monday with the new numbers, see what happens. And then we'll delve into salaries
You said we were 30,000 under the cap.
under the cap.
We've already added some that wasn't here before, so we're not 30,000 under the cap anymore.
No, we didn't, I'd say we added what?
9,000, 10,000 just for the vehicles
Yeah.
and stuff.
No, that's not, that's from the cemetery funds.
It's a
I told you
cemetery
that
fund.
was
Okay,
tax neutral.
okay.
Oh,
So
so
we
that doesn't,
probably added about 2,000 or 3,000.
oh, so that doesn't come against the 30,000, the cemetery
No,
stuff?
no, because that's, we're trying to keep the cemetery funding
Right,
clean until we spend all of their money so that, you know, there's an audit trail.
right, okay. So that's,
Because we don't have the restriction not to do it.
right.
So the next thing would be doing the, salary stuff. You got the sheet. You heard the discussions. You just start right at the top.
What sheet are you on?
It's the last sheet on the real budget.
Yep.
Last sheet on the real budget. Got it?
This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Last
Council
sheet.
persons,
Wait a minute, I don't have it. Is it this one?
Yes, last page.
last page.
Okay.
Council persons went from last year, 44,200, 4,425 to 4,735. And essentially that comes because in 2013, they had a 25% reduction to help fund the new building projects of moving buildings. And I've been trying to recover some of that. We did a shot about 2 years ago, and this is another shot, which tries to bring it up in line with where it should have been. It's not precise, but it's trying to do that. In fact, that applies to the other people, but they didn't have that big a hit, the other people. The highway superintendent went from 56,860 to 57,997. The supervisor went, and the two big hit groups were the supervisor and the council people. They went 25% reduction in pay. at that time. So the supervisor goes from this year, 20,000, 867,000 to 22,328,000. The tax collector goes from 6,442 to 6,764. The town clerk goes from 26,000 to 27,300, and the town justices go from 12,500 to 13,125. So that's all the elected people. So let's try to see if we all agree or disagree or whatever you want to do on the
Basically,
elected
it's,
people.
you and the supervisor and the town board were getting 7%, the other guys are getting 5%.
Right,
Right.
that's what the net is, so.
And that's
you know,
also true for the other folks as well.
Yeah.
They're getting the 5.
They get 5 down below. So that, you know, trying to replace the 25% reduction, rather than doing it all in one shot and have a big boom in the budget. Trying to just gradually work it in. I don't know if there'll be another attempt to do it later, but just trying to get us back to speed, because I feel, and it applies also to these other people below, that our mission is service to the community. And service to the community means you gotta have workers that are willing to step up and do it. And they stepped up to doing a lot of additional work when there was a pretty large reduction in clerical staff in 2013, in addition to reduction in pays and no pay increases. So to try to provide that comfort, I feel it's important that we keep the people, the staff, well paid, not exuberantly or very highly paid, but at least where they should be. Because all during this whole period of time, the highway union contract required that the highway people get their 2 and 3% every year all the way through.
No, they didn't get it. The last contract before this one, they didn't get anything.
Okay,
No.
I know they had a contract, but I just.
Oh, they had a contract, but we had a 0 on
On pay increases.
pay increases.
Okay, so they.
That's why
missed-
they wanted more
they
this
missed-
last time,
okay,
because they wanted to
missed
make up
three-
for it.
They missed 3 years then too, but they didn't miss 6. So that's the set of numbers I proposed, and that was the numbers that are included in the actual tax information or the budget information that we discussed. Any changes? Anything you want different?
Well, I raised an issue last year, I'll raise it again, for what it's worth, that,
And I'm only talking about the elected pieces up here right now. I'm not going down to
Well,
the,
but it's-
we'll get to the others.
but they go together, because it's,
But I'm just saying, I'm trying to
well, I
get,
think we should take less in that case. That's what I'm basically getting at.
you as council person.
I think the 5 of us should take less, as I said last year. And if you want to reward employees, fine, I think that's a great idea. But I don't think we should reward ourselves more than we're rewarding everybody else. I mean, I'd like to see a couple of employees get a little bit more than 5%. Other folks may feel the same way about different people, but certainly I don't think we should take the addition, we should take a higher percentage than,
For us to get 7% and everyone else to
There you
get
go.
5 doesn't seem
Well,
right.
that's because you lost 25%.
well, except, yeah, but
And
it's,
they
but we're in
didn't
different,
lose that
we're in
big
different
number.
situations. I mean,
I'm just
as you know,
saying
I
that
mean-
that's why the difference
I
is.
mean, we all work hard, we all put in our time, but our motivations are different, and I mean, we're not dependent on the salary we get for being a town board member to put food on the table and pay our mortgage, at least I hope not, or else we'd be in big trouble, right? But
Wow.
that's my feeling about it.
Well,
So, 2 points. One is, I definitely think we need to put more money into maintenance on the buildings.
we'll get to that
But that's, so,
next item.
so we got to kind of balance what we do here. But at the same time, since we do have some cushion, what if we give everybody a 7% across the board? So instead of a 2%, 5%, make everybody 7%.
Well, that would certainly be more equitable.
And that's really based on the study of all the towns. I mean, you know, everybody says we're the lowest paid. We're the lowest paid in every category, in most categories, I should say.
Yes.
We're the lowest paid council people, we're the lowest paid everything. So, you know, so if you want to be realistic, while the money's there, we should use it, not foolishly, but proportionately. And so, since we do have a little bit of a cushion, maybe we should look at what the numbers would look at if everybody got that 7% increase. And then,
We can recalculate it.
and then whatever's left over, we should probably apply towards building maintenances.
Whatever, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
whatever's left over, sure.
I probably won't know that until Tuesday
That's,
or so.
I mean, going from 5 to 7% is not a big hit. But when you multiply it by 15,
Well, it's not only the 2%, but it's the 2% on the benefits, the 2% in the retirement, the 2% in workers' comp and everything else. It
Social Security. all that
perpetuates
stuff.
to other things.
so it could use up the $30,000.
Exactly. That's why I said I'd like to see what happens to that
Would be the
2%.
number.
I mean, we can do it.
And if it's a matter of maybe lowering us all to 6% or, you know, whatever it is, I mean, not opposed to that either.
Yeah, I just don't think that the five of us up here should get a larger percentage than everybody else that doesn't.
Well, I mean, Ray's point is that we took $1,000 cut,
And I get that.
25%.
Yeah, I get that. I think,
Back
I'm
when
not
it
saying we
happened.
don't get a raise, I just think it should be.
And I don't think any one of us are here for the money, so that's not, you know, but certainly there's expenses that go along to driving. I mean, I don't even put in for most mileage and stuff like that, so, you know, there's an expense that you have doing things that, you know, you should at least be compensated for your, for some time and some money.
No question. Yeah,
Expense.
I mean,
but-
there is an expense involved. There's no question about that.
I mean, I'm sure we all do it because we enjoy it and we enjoy giving back and
Right.
it's our little thing, but
Right. Exactly.
there is some reasonable things to get certain professionals, especially when you get to the level of a supervisor and town clerk and highway superintendent, that you want to attract somebody who's going to be willing to do the job because it's more of a work thing than, you know, what we're doing as council people. I mean, it's more of a work thing, so you want to have a pay that's commensurate with the responsibilities and the duties that,
It's probably never going to be at that level.
No, it'll
In
never be-
reality, the supervisor and the town clerk should both be full-time positions.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I think
You don't-
I think our town is running pretty good the way
I know.
the way it
That's
is.
because I'm putting in almost a full-time job, being paid part-time. Okay, I make it look easy, but I put a lot of time in. So it's not one of these things where, you know, I clock in and do my 15 hours,
It's inherent with the job.
20 hours. I understand, but double time.
I would like to see at least the clerks all get a decent increase.
Well, I-
Because that's where
Okay, I'm just,
that is where the work is done.
Mm.
Okay?
So I would propose that, let's try 7% across the board.
And then what does that do to the wish list?
But that's what I'm saying, is how much have left to
So we
to
really
attack
can't
the
get
wish
into,
list.
so we can't get into that until we see what the number is,
Really?
No,
or we may strike stuff off.
because we might just be spinning our wheels if we decide that that's as far as it goes, the 7%.
Well, you may take stuff off the wish list, that's
Well,
all I'm
okay,
saying.
I mean, I suppose that's true.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
can
think it would be important at least to put in $15,000 towards painting the buildings. We're
clear
probably
up.
not gonna paint all of them, but if we could do 15,000 on one and 15,000 on the next year and
Start.
15,000,
I mean,
we'll
it's
get
a-
it done,
it's a
because,
beginning.
you know,
Absolutely.
the schoolhouse looks horrible on the back, and, you know,
Yeah,
it's-
Can you run the numbers as well for us for a 6% across the board, just in case this pushes us, we can get the numbers for both, just so we can see it?
yeah, because that's probably more realistic, is to leave some money.
Means going through
It-
every person and
Going from
changing
5
all
to
the
6
numbers.
is, you know, you're talking about $100. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
such
we're
a
not-
trivial difference. And 5 to 7 is a little bit
Yeah, but
better.
I can't
it's more than
guarantee
just the
6.
salary, it's
Well,
the
that's,
workers'
yeah,
comp and everything
right.
else.
But
Yeah.
people don't look at that. People look at their paychecks, so they don't look at.
If you take 30% on top of what you're getting paid, that's all the added benefits.
Yeah, well, yeah, from a budgetary point of view, I
Because you got
understand
FICA
that.
and, you know, everything else that goes
But
along with that.
if part of the reason for giving salary increases is to make people feel appreciated,
Well,
they're
that's
looking at
part
the-
of it, and the other part
they're
is
looking at-
trying to make up for what they lost.
fine, but they're looking at their salary. They're
Oh, I
looking,
know.
they're not looking at the social security or their.
Oh, I know they're not.
I mean, they're looking at the amount of money that comes into them every
Yeah,
month.
but it's our budget, you know,
No, I
we have to
understand.
manage the
Understood.
budget.
Understood, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
follow
7% for all, and I'll go, except for minimum wage jobs, because they're
Well,
mandated by state.
it wouldn't be the highway either.
that. No, they're,
No, that's contract.
Right.
Okay, we'll go through for that.
and let me ask you a
See what they
question,
can-
I-
Ray, before you.
I'm with
okay.
Michael on this.
okay.
If it makes a difference, I don't have a problem forfeiting anything that I would
Okay.
get as an increase. I'm not doing
What's
this
your
for the
question?
money.
I just had a question about, and this is just for clarification. I should have asked, well, no, actually, I shouldn't have asked these before because they're related to salary. There's an entry here for,
Give me a page.
okay, I'm sorry, page 11.
11, okay.
I made a note about gate guard. Did we have a gate guard last year?
Yes.
What was the deal there? There was something that caught my eye on that one. Let me see if I can find it.
I don't think we had a gate guard except for on the weekends, right?
There's, or when we know there's going to be a
Maybe it
big
had to-
deal.
Maybe it had to do with a big increase in the number of hours, is that possible?
Yes,
Maybe that was it,
could increase the hours, I can look back and see what the hours were.
Gate guard, no, actually, the same number of hours. I guess it's just a question about
Well, the pay increased because,
pay increase. Okay,
yeah, because that's minimum wage, that went up
oh, okay,
10% or something like that.
okay, that was it, that was the question there.
Yeah.
And then the other question, I think, was on the same page, and it had to do with, and probably the answer is the same, 1/3, oh, the head lifeguard, is that the same deal there? The 5,400, oh, actually, there was no head lifeguard last year, that was the issue, so that's a new
No.
one, right?
There's not one.
Say what?
The head lifeguard does make a lot more because there's a ton of education and requirements. They are responsible for all the lifeguards.
No, that I understand, but my question is that there was no head lifeguard last year. Is that a new position that was created?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, because it wasn't in last year's budget.
no.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, while we're in here, on the, what do they call them? Recreation leader and no, it says, do we increase that one? Or just leave it the way it is at
The what?
745? The recreation leader, that went up. Went up from,
Rec leader,
yeah.
it
Are we
was
talking,
2916.
Dan, are we talking the
No,
summer?
Leader.
It only went up by
Leader?
$64.
What page are we on, 11?
11.
Yeah, it was only $64. It was 2916 last year, now it's 2980. So that's,
Oh, I was
Recreation
looking at
leader.
the actual pay.
weekly pay was 729, now it's
Right.
745.
Okay, that's
Pretty minimal increase.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Catherine.
Yeah. I'm just asking, because that's sort of, that's, a weekly thing.
And she doesn't get it if she doesn't have a
Yeah, it's
a
so much
thing,
a week,
so,
so it's 4
I mean-
weeks, but I just want to know, do I increase
I would say increase
745
that.
by the same, like I did
Yeah,
everybody
'cause
else?
it's-
Okay, I'm not.
She pays for herself basically by having
Yeah, with the camp.
Yeah.
the camp
Yeah.
and
Okay, that was one of those
So
unusual
so
ones.
the guards will also get the 7, were they getting the 5% as well?
Yeah,
So they'll get the 7 too?
yeah, but
Okay.
what we do is we have a max here, and they get from that max and down depending on their education, their level of training and how many years they've been doing it here.
Okay.
A newbie gets, we'll say, $1 less
But
than
we'll still get the
person
7,
who's
we'll
been
still
here.
get the 7% on.
Well, the
whatever.
max would be, because that's what they have here, lifeguards. Where are they here, lifeguards?
Max is 1223 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay, all right.
It's in here someplace.
Right, so 1223 would be the highest, and then it would go down from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, lifeguards, yeah.
Okay, all right. But it's still going to be the same multiplier, the same
I'll multiply the top number.
7%.
Yeah, the
Okay.
top number
Yeah.
will go up.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But,
Okay.
but individuals may not make that if they don't have the
No,
experience. and all.
right, understood.
I mean,
Yeah,
we could go crazy putting a payroll grid in place for that.
I'd like, I'm still confused about these part-time guys we got working here.
Which part-time for which?
You know,
The two that haven't.
the father-son guys that.
Oh, okay.
What exactly are they doing?
It's a no-show contract.
For example, they,
Are they doing stuff?
oh yeah. they
Because they're working, they have other jobs, right, these
Yeah,
guys?
but they
So-
replaced all the stones that fell off along the building.
Did they?
There's
Okay.
gonna be a whole pile falling off
Yeah.
too, because they weren't put on right. But we'll wait till they fall and glue them all back. He replaced the downspout over here from a small one to a 4-inch, so that the water comes down, so
Okay.
it doesn't, he's cleaned the gutters on the sides here. And, he's fixed the gutter on the top over there and pushed it up again where it belonged because it was dripping right where you come off out of the other building downstairs.
Right.
The water wasn't going down the,
Could they do some of the work we're talking about on the bill, or is that too
What,
specialized?
painting?
Yeah, or it's, painting the shutters, or, I mean.
well, the
can
shutters.
Can they do
is
that
a-
sort of?
The shutters are very expensive
I know.
to do.
I've done that.
Okay.
I understand it.
My recommendation has always been, if we're gonna do shutters, take them down and put plastic black ones up. They serve no function other than decoration,
I understand that too.
okay?
You can actually get plastic ones, which we, having spent way too much time painting shutters, we took them down and replaced with not bad plastic ones that are hard to tell nowadays. And they're, you paint them once and it's done.
Or you get them colored.
Or you get, yeah. I mean, I painted them and it's
Yeah.
finished. So there's
Me
something to be
too.
said for that.
I have
Shutters
done the
are
same
very
thing.
hard
I
because
understand
they're
that. But
bent and, you
But
know,
I'm
you
thinking
can't
of-
get the edges and all of that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
yeah, I understand. I mean, it took me 10 years to do this, so, trust me. I
Yeah, but what's the
noticed.
historic significance of them shutters?
Yeah,
There is
well,
no historic of any of these
That
buildings.
worked for a while, but not when I had to do it
They've already-
again.
They're
You've
not
already
historic
changed.
anymore.
You've already
They've
changed.
relocated them. The schoolhouse is totally rebuilt.
That's right.
The amount of leftover wood on there.
Well, the schoolhouse was just was a rotted frame that was brought over and took apart, but the Masonic Hall was
Well,
It's
transported from
It's
its,
gutted. The whole bottom
it's
is
a
gutted.
huge job.
And
It's an enormous job.
It's- Yeah, it's,
But
it's not
I'm just
historic
thinking,
anymore.
is this the sort of thing that these guys can do?
I don't know, I didn't,
the two-
not painting, but putting up things,
They
yes.
can't, they can't do painting?
Well, they can do
So,
painting, but
yeah.
I don't think you want to pay the price to paint these things.
No, I just
We're
use the
talking about
shutters as
the
an
general,
example.
like
Just in
painting the
yeah.
buildings.
Just in general. I
Oh,
mean,
not the building.
Could they
No,
do
this
that?
you got a contract. You're gonna need scaffolding.
Okay, so they can't, so something that big, they
No,
can't.
no.
Are they putting in, are they working the hours that
Yeah,
they're budgeted for?
yeah, not,
No.
yeah, they're being paid whatever they work.
Right, I
Yeah.
understand, but we have them in for like 26 hours or something, or whatever the number is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Are they actually doing the 26 hours, or, because I know
Yeah.
they have full-time jobs, that makes it
Yeah,
hard
no,
to
he
fit it
comes in
in.
on weekends and evenings. Yeah, because I'm here, I open
Okay,
the doors
all right.
and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
as long as, okay, fine.
so, so that's that. Do you want to go off on the other list then? Got it here, here we go. The wish list. I put in the 150 kW standby generator. You're gonna hear about it every year I'm in office. You may laugh, if they get a cold winter and the electric goes off and the pipes freeze, you're gonna spend more than $110,000 to do the building. I've seen on the fire department where buildings have, Elliot can attest to this, where pipes broke and the amount of work is really expensive and expensive. I tried again to get another mitigation grant for this. It just came out like a week ago. I looked at it and called up, no. They're not funding generators this cycle. Maybe next year I'll try.
Is that because they want to do solar and all kinds
No,
of?
no, flood. Flood is the one that they're in. So they're into the flood mode with all the flooding going on. Raising houses, opening up or fixing dams or whatever. That's the criteria of what they want. So, I mean, I keep putting it in. It's gonna hit us, and you're gonna say what?
Of course, that shoots our cap
Oh,
by a long
yeah,
shot.
well,
Not even
depends. You know, it depends on how much we can get out of there. Take a little more out of surplus, depending on what it is. They could probably cover it, but that's my feeling on that one. So, you know, we could go through them all and then decide, maybe throw some out.
To
right
give
away.
us a better idea of when we're talking about this, when you say we can take a little bit more out of surplus, how much is in surplus so that we can understand what we're talking about?
Surplus, it's about 600,000,
Okay.
but I need 450,000 minimum to carry me the first 2 months or
Yeah.
3 months of the year.
Okay.
In addition to, that's under the supposition that taxes come in early. If they don't, we got a problem.
Yeah.
So I like 500,000 to be safe,
All
so,
right.
you know, you have sort of that kind of number, but I'm using some of it, using 100,000.
So we're saying
already.
about 100 is there? If, like
Well,
if,
I'm using 100 already in the balancing, so,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
it's basically 4 months, you said, right? You said
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah. So that's what that is. The other one was the 62 solar panels. That was what Dean requested some time ago, and we put in for some grants and didn't get the grants. I don't know if we should still push that.
Well, the way I remember was that we were going to fund it one way or the other. And, you know, when we talk about the generator, as I mentioned, if we had the solar panels, you know, if the power goes out, we have solar. I mean, while, yes, it's not going to be there working at night, it's there working there in the day, and if you can heat up the buildings during the day to carry us through the nights, usually we don't have a problem. So, I mean,
prices-
I look at it as a better source of, you know, resources, better use
The
of resources.
prices are about the same of the two choices.
If the main concern is pipes freezing, would solar panels generate enough heat at night to keep pipes from freezing?
well, the-
No, they
the
would
sol-
generate enough electric during the day so that the
Yeah.
circulators and everything else could work.
What about at night, though?
Well, I'm saying,
When the
Everything
temperature
stops.
really drops?
when the temperature drops, it's not going to drop enough to freeze just overnight. It usually takes
and
more
it would
than a
kick
day
in
to...
again in the morning.
It would not, okay, so they wouldn't burst overnight, that's my question.
Not unless you're below zero. I can't suspect that it would.
Okay.
But then again, if we had some type of a battery where we could actually store some of the electric,
That's extra money.
well, again, you're talking about generator versus, you know, using a solar and
Generator
having a
will have
battery.
ongoing fuel costs throughout its life, where the solar panels wouldn't.
So. Then we have the video doorbell.
I don't think
We're
it's-
getting the ramp.
Yeah, we're getting the ramp, so.
About $500.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
delete that one.
See what I did for you?
$500, I will take it.
Didn't we approve that already?
No,
We did not?
Well, one was subject to the other, so...
Yeah, if we weren't getting the ramp, we were gonna go for that
Right.
in the meantime, but
Oh,
we got the
okay.
ramp. so-
ramp.
But when is the ramp coming?
Yeah.
As soon
You
as
know?
Dee Dee can get
The ramp could
me
be the end of
paperwork.
next year. Meanwhile, we've got the security problem now.
What's the
So-
security problem? It's not a security problem.
No, it's for handicap access.
It's for handicap
Safety
access,
problem.
yeah.
whatever. So, all right,
And the radar speed signs, we had
Yes.
$8,000
7.
or 7? Okay.
Would they be, are they portable or permanent? Remember-
That you move it all over.
Okay, that's
Yep.
the portable.
It's got everything we want right on it. And it's,
So they are the portable ones.
Because we had been talking about like maybe spending the same amount of money, but getting 3 of the non-portable ones so
Right.
that it would,
right.
That's why I put
Right.
which way we were
Yeah.
doing it.
I'm adamant about being able to move it where we have problems.
Yeah.
And having the sheriff, respond to those areas. If we have them, we can identify 2 or 3 spots to put permanent signs, but that isn't going to help the town in general.
yeah.
And we can put these on our county roads as well, which
On
is
any road,
where,
except at
The
the
only thing that I've heard, the feedback I got for the ones that move is like, we've used the shared services for them in the past, and the residents on those roads say, yeah, it helped while they was there. And the minute the sign moved,
I know. of
everything
course.
went right back to what it was. Whereas, if you have that flashing number at you all the time when you're driving through.
Yeah, but some people get
Immune.
Yeah.
immune to it, and over time, they're gonna,
Yeah, I think they both have a trade-off.
you mean,
Yeah.
you haven't looked at the sign and said, see how fast I can go?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can break the number.
I personally think it gives us more teeth in terms of the speed, because the sheriff will issue tickets.
We can tell them
As a
when to be
result of
there.
that.
Yeah, we'll see the times.
Do they take
Okay.
pictures?
No.
Has a camera built in? No?
Well,
No camera?
it could be, I don't know what that one looks
The,
like.
the only thing we have not wanted, and that's considerably more, about $4,000 more, is to identify the car,
By picture or something.
56 Pontiac or whatever, because even if you have the car identified, you can't prosecute, because
right.
you don't know who was driving it or
We
whatever.
can't prosecute.
Okay.
Usually
What this can do is like, we can say between 8 and 9, 4 days in a row, we had 5 cars that went by.
It could tell you
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so then we could tell the
It'll
sheriff.
have a
and he could say-
computer printout to say, this road is a problem
I understand.
between the hours of 8 and 10
Right.
for speeders.
Okay.
And then we can get the sheriff to sit there
Right.
and issue tickets.
Right, okay.
Okay,
Okay?
so that one's there. Replace the kitchen appliance and cabinets and storage areas downstairs. That wasn't Witten.
Is that off the list?
Yeah.
That was Sternberg.
Yeah, that came from Mary Pat.
That, they use that a lot down there and want to
What is,
improve it.
what would that involve?
I think they,
don't have
I think
how
they
much money.
basically want a new refrigerator down there, maybe a dishwasher, or
A new stove.
the stove isn't working, I don't think
And-
anymore.
And all the cabinetry they want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really just for the library. The library people,
I
Mary
know-
Pat
I
brought
know.
it up. It's really for the community to be able to use that room.
No, but I just identify
Yeah.
where it come from. But I don't have any idea how much it would cost. And then there was the, Elliot said unspecified long
Yeah, we talked about that.
deferred maintenance on town complex.
Got to start somewhere.
And that's, you're talking about,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
say, 15,000 per year paint. I don't even know how much it costs to paint.
It's gonna be $80,000 to paint all these buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I well
all,
expect that.
all 4 of them.
Well,
Or
you
all 3
don't,
of
you
them.
don't have to paint all of this building, because all of this stuff up to this wall,
It's vinyl.
no, it's concrete, pre-painted.
Yeah.
And
So you'd have to paint, well, the 2 anyway, for sure. The
all
schoolhouse
those two,
and the
yeah,
Masonic.
that, and the back part of this.
Yeah, so,
What are you saying, it's hardy board?
No, it's concrete. I don't know what the
I
name
mean,
of
even
it's called.
30,000 isn't going to go very far, but at least it'll start.
Right.
15 or 20 or
That's why I say
something.
15 a year.
Whatever,
At least it's a strike at it.
Yeah,
Sorry if we already talked about this, but the face show around the library, I mean, it's been a project
Yeah.
that was approved 2 years ago.
Yeah,
has
we
never
have to
been
go
done.
and bid that.
Well, the fascia and stuff like that, it's only at one level. I don't know why the maintenance guy couldn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We got all the material.
yeah, that doesn't require just working up
labor.
at a height.
Yeah, that's a ladder.
you know, but you need two people to hold the board up.
Well, it's him and his son, right?
Yeah.
So,
So that's, I'm trying to get that finished that way.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. And then wall hanging, diaper changing tables, et cetera. It's about $400 to buy 3 of them or 2 of them. Depends on the models. I looked them up on the web. Because I never,
I thought people stopped having children.
they still come here with children. So that's what that is. The library, I mean, the maintenance guy can install them, but we'd have to buy them. So it's not a big expense, but I just put it down so we don't lose track of it. Library asked for energy efficient windows in the library area. That's a total rehab.
That's a grant item,
If we can
wouldn't
get a
it?
grant on that. I don't know how much it would cost. My guess is
$300 a window at least.
yeah, 300 to 400. I don't know how standard they are, you know.
Yeah, you can get them any size you want.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying
At a cost.
they cost more. And then there was a statement made by Sternberg, accessibility of spaces throughout town hall building. I have no idea what that means, but that's the
You
word
have
she
any idea
said.
what that
I
means?
have no idea what they mean.
Okay.
No, I don't know what that means.
Is that handicap somehow?
I mean,
I don't know.
Handicap access or something?
yeah, there is the handicapped issue there, yeah, that's all I
Well,
can
we
think
got
of.
we got the elevator,
Yes, which I know they
as long
complain
as the
about.
electricity's running.
Yes.
When the electricity's not running, the elevator does not work.
We get the generator, we'll take care of that problem.
Generator will, but
Absolutely.
solar
Here
won't
we
at
go.
night. Or when the
Well, we should
library,
close at night.
then,
When we don't have electric, we should definitely close.
well, sometimes you don't know when it occurs. He was here one time when it occurred. It happened to be only, 5 minutes or something, but didn't know.
I got over it.
Yeah. But, you know, they have the planning board and ZBA meetings on the Masonic Hall floor, and you can't get out of there if you're disabled without the elevator to
Well, that's true.
get you all the way
You
down.
do need the elevator for that. That's
So,
true.
and no electricity, no elevator. Have to call the fire department and have a stair chair. and-
So what is this generator power? Why don't we move that generator over to the other building?
But we haven't, yeah.
It powers all the units up here.
But I'm saying, wouldn't it be more important to power where all the
Working-
control units are, which is
No.
in that building?
No, because you have like 20 of these compressor heater units scattered in all the rooms. There's 2 of them above us.
Yeah. But if we're not getting the water circulated from the
Right.
from the wells, then there's no reason to have this.
Understand, but this will stop if you only put the generator over there to feed the pumps. Doesn't feed here. Right now, we've got 3 meters that are all set up all over the place. One in the highway garage,
yeah.
one here, and one over there. And they're all disjointed. I mean, I'm trying to get the 3 meters into one, and that saves $2,000 a year just on meter costs.
Yeah, I know.
Has nothing to do with anything else. That was all part of the
It was
generator.
part of the
stuff.
solar panel, I thought.
Well, that's, you can't do that yet until you get enough solar panel, because these 62 panels, I don't think have enough capacity to run the 2 5-horsepower motors out there.
No?
I don't think so. I don't know.
The generator that we have is for this building.
No, the generator we have takes care of the highway garage and a small subset of the original building here. That's it. The library and stuff. Does not connect to any of the elevators, does not connect to any of the heating units up here,
Or the 2 buildings next door.
or to 2 buildings next door.
And so if this new one would take care of what's not
Everything.
covered now, or everything?
Everything,
So what would,
everything.
what would we do with the one that we already
Sell it.
have? Is there a market
Oh,
for
yeah.
secondhand generators?
Oh, yeah. That's how I got this one. Bought it from Hyde Park, water plant.
How much could you get for this generator?
I don't know, 2,000 maybe, 3,000?
So it wouldn't make a big dent in the 110.
No, no. but it's saleable. I mean, it runs, it's if we maintain it and everything else, so they don't wear out or rust out like cars do. Okay, so the other one was efficient use of storage space. I don't know what you're talking about there. So, I mean,
Pat is out of control here.
you know, the windows, that's a good idea to consider in the future, but it's not a necessary thing. And the other two, I have no idea what they mean. Now, and looking at the solar panels, I think we need a lot more than just 62 to run the 5 horsepower. I can call around and find out, but I don't know.
How'd we come up with 62, based on the size of the building?
No, that was because we wanted to spend about $250,000 when we had 2 projects, and they funded one but not the other.
So that's how we came up with 62.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that list? I know it's
Oh, yeah, sure.
something I thought of since, and it's not dollar-wise significant, but I'm still big on community pride. We have the remnants of that in this community. But when you drive into Clinton Corners, when you drive on Salt Point Turnpike before you get to Matt's coming from Pleasant Valley,
Welcome to the hamlet of Salt Point.
yeah, I would like to see us have 2 or 3 of those signs as you're entering Clinton
The
Corners,
Historical Society.
There's a
Okay.
thing going on, isn't
with
there?
some
I don't know.
bushes, with
Yeah.
something,
They've got an
because
idea.
it's,
some
you come
signs.
through here and you don't even know you're through here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get a grant to buy 10 signs or something.
Okay.
put
But
'em
then
in-
you gotta get easements
But
and stuff
something more
like
than
that.
just a sign.
Oh, yeah,
you
no,
know,
well,
it's
that's
like
some kind of a logo,
with
like the town logo
some
on
bushes
it.
underneath, or, you know, something a little more.
Maybe a picture of Ray on the sign. so
Oh,
we
yeah.
see where it comes. Anyway,
Father Time?
They're, what's that?
Father Time?
Yeah, there it is. Anyway, they're trying to put together a grant to get like 10 signs or something. They actually priced them out. Was it $1,000 a piece or some roughly, something like that. And the idea would be to place them in key locations like,
Major entry points.
right, Salt Point Turnpike.
Off the parkway,
yeah,
the whole thing.
You know, the
Yeah.
county roads,
Yeah,
basically.
Bull's Head, yeah.
Bull's Head, you know, and you need, of course, you need 2 in each direction. You need 2 because you have to have them facing each direction. So anyway, I haven't heard about that recently, but the idea was to try to get a grant to,
Well, what would it cost even if we put
$1,000 a
half a
sign.
dozen,
well, basically,
half
if
a
you-
dozen of them?
you know,
And do-
10,000, 20,000, depending on how many signs you wanted. If it's
Yeah.
$1,000 a piece, give or take. And then, well, designing it is not that big a deal. You get some talented artistic type person to design a sign with a logo of some kind, like Salt
Well,
Point
we
has
got
the
a
cow
logo
on
here.
it, or the, you know,
Right,
whatever.
right.
yeah.
Right there.
And then, I mean, if the highway, could Theron's guys install them, or we'd have to,
But we gotta get easements,
so.
so we
yeah.
need attorney fees. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
They would
I'm
put
not-
them up. They'd do it, right?
Uh,
Wouldn't they?
never know.
Anyway,
Oh, I'll charm them.
so,
Here we are, I'm charming everybody.
and talk to Cynthia about it, because she had this idea, and she was trying to get a historical society involved. I haven't heard about it lately, so I don't know where it went.
You know, it's just,
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I talked about it about, I don't know, 8
might have.
nights ago.
It'd be a nice thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Clinton Corners, you know, or something. Yeah.
okay.
It's all real money.
As opposed to the fake money.
Yeah, yeah.
We use some monopoly money, see what we can buy.
There you go. Well, we'll just get the Fed to print up some money for us.
So that's where we are. You know, we can always add one of these things at the development. I mean,
Yeah, well, let's see after the labor
See
thing.
after
what
they increase
we got left.
exercise first, right?
yeah.
No, the rest of the list,
Now,
okay.
the rest of the list, I got some sort of good news. Possibly, I have 2 Eagle Scouts, but I don't know which one, that will replace roofs on the dugouts. And we have the materials so that they can do it, you know, at minimal cost. We have them right here, leftovers. talked to Theron about it, and he can help getting rid of the debris, the old shingles and stuff, but,
Talk to our insurance carrier.
no, not yet, but it's a volunteer project. Boy Scouts would be doing it, so Boy Scouts have insurance too. So, that's a possibility of one set being done. One Eagle Scout would do one, the other would do the other. We have a contractor guy overseeing the whole thing for free, providing hammers, nails, what.
That would be
all that kind of
great
thing.
if
So
it could.
I'm just trying to get that resolved. I don't know which one it'll be. Replace the ball field fence. Do you have any idea how much that'll be?
I don't know, Dan was supposed to get a figure on that, because they were talking about whether they kept the
Uprights?
uprights or not. And after 30-some years, I kind of feel like we ought to replace everything. You know, we'll have a nice new fence, and then the uprights will go in 2 years or something. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll get you a number. My guess is, it's got to be at least 10 grand.
This is the fence that goes around the.
Friends,
In the
the whole
outfield.
Friends, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would come out of the rec funds, right?
Development funds, yeah, I understand.
But that should come out, yeah, out of
You
the,
know, we only have 110,000 there too, so that's, I'm trying to look and see if we move any of these up into tax funding, then we save
Yeah.
the development.
yeah.
And I just put them here because that's logically where I think we should spend it from, but once you spend it, we're not getting more development, so we're not getting much more
It's
to
true.
replenish that. The
These
big
from this, like subdivisions?
Yeah, all subdivision money.
Whether you do
Yeah.
one or two, you know, take
Right.
one lot and make 2 or 3 out of it,
Yeah, but
that's where you get the little bit of money.
There's not much going on.
Now, I know, that's what I
Subdivisions,
said,
yeah.
so
But we
that's
still
why,
should have, what, about 120 or something in
about
there?
110 in there.
Yeah, so we'd have 100.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm just looking at, you know, you wanted additional Mark Park picnic tables too. And you wanted 2,000 for the ball field player benches up here at the complex, which we don't have. You know, those wooden things which are not very nice. This is for the players to sit on, not the family. You know, we have bleachers.
Well, I still say,
I think the players should stand.
if we have the park for the parks
Yeah.
for the convenience and pleasure of the community. We do generate revenue to a degree, okay? If we did not count that revenue toward anything else, we could turn that revenue back into all these improvements
Yeah.
and zero it out and not touch anything else.
As far as these expenditures here, if we want to take them out of the development fund balance, that's not a budget issue. We just do that during
Right.
the year. But if we don't have a list of what we're aiming or not aiming to do, we don't know what we're going
Right.
to do
So
during the year.
the development fund is not part of the budget.
No,
No.
it's a reserve fund,
Okay. I get it.
And
And this is all money that's come from,
development. But we
Subdivisions
had
and so- okay.
subdivision, we had lots of subdivisions
in
in
the
the
old
past,
days, yeah.
yeah.
big ones too.
Yeah, and
8
that's
lots,
what
10
filled
lots,
it up.
whatever. Okay, that's where
But
the
now
money is.
we've been sucking it down.
Right, got it.
half of the pavilion money that we have there, that we want to turn back into, we can use towards some of these improvements,
Yeah. And we can
which
use
would be about $3,500.
whatever.
Cover some of it, sure.
So, you know, it might cover something and you, or you take,
What's the permanent tables? What do you think?
The what?
The permanent tables.
They're picnic tables, but they're welded, you know, they're cemented into
into the ground.
pavilion or outside of the
Outside.
pavilion?
outside.
They're not the
So
wooden
this
ones.
way, they
Yeah.
can't move them, they can't destroy them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't
And-
get splinters.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can clean them. The ones we have now are pretty hard to
There was an
really
issue with
clean.
the, somebody asked me about the, I don't know, the little jungle gyms or something. There was a problem back, is that There were some
We've
issues
got,
with
one of the
breaking down.
rotating ones need to be taken out.
Yeah,
We can't
actually
afford to
been-
replace it.
Oh, is
It's
that
not-
what
It's not safe.
It all, yeah, it
We're
scares the
doing
heck
it.
out of me, that thing.
Yeah, we're doing
What do you call those things that go around?
whirly rounds
Or
or
something,
something,
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
That's gotta
actually-
come out,
Yeah.
yeah.
Has to come out?
that's
We
an
tried to
issue
get a
expense.
grant to replace all that stuff, but it didn't fly. And
So
we
this
do
year
have, we do
expense.
have an issue with what we have there in Franmar Park for individuals that are somewhat handicapped,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
some of them are too high for them to get up on,
Yeah.
so we've got to address that as well,
Well, the things that are there, if they're unsafe, should they be removed
yeah.
or just dismantled in some ways?
We have to dismantle that
So they
one,
can't be used
yeah.
if they're unsafe.
Yeah, and it's funny because that thing that spins around is probably the most unsafe thing there, and it's the thing that every kid wants to play.
Well,
They-
naturally, of course,
They are all over it.
of course.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Judy, you must be tired. Oh, I know. So,
So, you got the list here, and we can then make a final decision when we approve the preliminary budget, if we want to add some of this to it right then and there.
Okay.
And, you know, we'll see the outcome of the pay increases that we talked about.
right,
Okay. At this time, I call the meeting, the workshop, over. It is 9:56.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 9:56. I've been here till 5.